As the days are going by, time has shown great vindication. The Bank of Ghana, the IMF, and even the NDC kingpins are now admitting on many matters that Bawumia was right. What more can they say about me now? In our history, when all has been said of a candidate and yet he remains standing, victory is the logical next step that awaits him.
Correct.
The Akans have a saying that Openi Dwe Mate Mate. To wit, a wise leader must at times appear aloof, yet when it is required, be willing to take the difficult decision. That is who I am. I am cool on the outside, but do not underestimate my inner resolve. That is what I bring to the leadership of the MPP and the leadership of Ghana. That is what makes a leader balanced and formidable. Dear delegates, the most important desire in the hearts of all our colleagues is a win in 2028. We have to put our best foot forward as we rebuild our party towards that election. To win in 2028, we must not just talk unity, we must live it.
No more going to listen to rhetorics. We want somebody who can create businesses for the youth of this country. I always say that any human being without a job has no life. Do you want life? Do you want life? Then go for the Japan for life. Some people say they have ideas. I have both ideas and creativity. I have done it before and will continue to do it. So if I tell you I'm going to create jobs for you, believe in me. Let's ask some of the candidates what they have done.
I share this exciting news with you with clarity in my mind, energy in my body, duty in my spirit. I speak as a servant ready to offer myself fully once again for party, for country, for a future that must belong to all of us. I know what it means to build from the ground up. I know the weight of responsibility. I know how a single opportunity can transform not just one's life, but an entire family's future. Furthermore, I know the potential of Ghana, and I know the potential of our people, and I have delivered. I am bold. Today, I commit to join forces with you to continue the rebuilding of our party. We should reignite the base. We who are the heart and soul of our party. And of course, we need to unite our family once again. I stand not only as a flag bearer aspirant, which I know, inshallah, I shall win. But also to remobilize the youth of this country and channel them to opportunities and unearth their talent to prosperity. The NPP has a job to do in government. I shall win power and continue with that job. Today, having now submitted my form to run as flag bearer of the MPP, it effectively means that I have submitted my declaration for unity, for a disciplined campaign. Thus, my supporters, north to south, east to west, must shy away from comments and commentary that smears individuals and ultimately affects the fortunes of our party. I come to unite. I come to build. I come to lead with conviction. And I come to win power for NPP.
We will listen, we will learn, and we will act with you, not just for you. Let this be the moment that we turn pain into purpose, history into healing. This moment requires us to go back to our roots, our noble roots, where politics was a noble calling, not a marketplace to trade parochial interests. Our UP tradition, the United Party tradition, was never about money, not a place where votes were auctioned off to the highest bidder. Our tradition was founded on sound values, virtues, and a large dose of volunteerism. That is why the subtle attempt to create a monetary barrier that practically shuts out capable and competent patrons, thereby virtually handing leadership opportunities to only a wealthy few, is truly repugnant. The path ahead for us is to go out and choose leaders who have integrity, who have character, who have empathy, and who have emotional intelligence, worthy of leading a great tradition such as ours. Let us all forge ahead with renewed energy to rebuild, rejuvenate, regenerate our base in unity and with hope. God bless our homeland Ghana and our beloved MPP. Eshi Radu 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 Radu.
Hi. Good evening, my fellow Ghanaians. This is Wednesday evening, that's August the 27th. My attention has been drawn to comments made by Good Evening Ghana's host, Paul Adom Oche, in reaction to some comments that I made during an interview on GH1 TV yesterday. My greetings to Paul Adom Oche, and I remember the last time he interviewed me on Good Evening Ghana, I just written Chasing the Elephant into the Bush, and we had a very nice time having exchanges. So let me thank him for advancing the conversation by making my comments available to the wider Ghanaian public. In my comments in the interview on GH1 TV, I did say that I was concerned about young men, and I should add women, who leave college, just follow a big politician around for a few years, get appointed into office, and then in 2 years they own mansions worth significant amounts of money, and nobody asked them anything. All those comments ascribed to me were correct, and I stand painting by those comments that I made. I am concerned because I think that we are building a very dangerous society. Even in the example that Paul made to refute what I have said, playing devil's advocate, he does say that the young man, gets his national service rearranged for him. He gets, what he said, a lot of money organized by his mentor to pay delegates, so that in effect he gets into parliament and so on and so forth. Respectfully, even in Paul's example, the minister himself, who in this case was a hypothetical Dr. Charles Rekumbrube, whom I respect and greet, should not be able to build a mansion in that short time. That indeed was my point, that we are seeing unaccountable money that is being used. It was not necessary that it was wrong for young people to succeed. Indeed, I am aware from my studies and readings in history that there are some young people who are very talented. You know, for example, William Pitt the Younger was British Prime Minister at the age of 24, and he was a very good Prime Minister for another 24 years. John Kennedy was elected president at 43. So the question is not that there are some youth who are talented. There are indeed talented youth, and they should be encouraged. My question is about honest money and the kind of society we are trying to build. And to this point, let me refer to the example of former Prime Minister K.A. Busia, who I am told, and I haven't had time to check the exact speech and date, visited Legon in 1970 at the invitation of Progress Party youth on the University of Ghana campus. In Busia's speech, he said that he was afraid he was about to disappoint some people. He said that he knew all of them were there because they were interested in politics. But he felt that young people, as they are about to enter university or to leave university, should be focused not on politics or political careers, but on professional careers. He talked about entering professions like law, medicine, business, etc., to build themselves, to build reputations, and to build their families, and then enter politics. And I stand with Prime Minister Busia on this. Returning to Ghana, I am an old man now, and maybe in 10 years, or if God is kind to me, in 20 years, I will be dead. But I worry about the kind of Ghana that we are bequeathing to our children, when increasingly we are bringing our youth to think that there are always shortcuts to wealth, sometimes dishonest, that are preferable to hard, slow work. So young men and women look to joining politics, to doing
Government is broke, government is broke. But people are spending billions to go inside the government that is broke. Have you ever seen a minister who resigned because government is broke before? Government has no money. Have you ever seen a governor who said, ladies and gentlemen, when I was elected, I thought the government had money. Now I discover government has no money, I resign. Have you ever seen it? Government has no money, but they are bringing money out at election time. Where is that money coming from? So they are lying. What is happening is that there are two types of wicked people in government. Type 1, they eat current money. Any money they find in government, they will eat it. They are wicked about that one. There is type 2. Type 2, they eat current money and future money. They will say, my term will end next year. When I leave, how will I eat money? Let me borrow money now and borrow money of the future and eat it now.
Right, good morning, and thank you very much for joining the show. Thank you very much for tuning in to Good Morning Ghana on Metro Television. My name is Awudu Moro, and I say Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. Let me just say that today is the 29th of August, 2025. It's a beautiful Friday morning. We want to say a big thanks to the Almighty God, Almighty Allah, for making it possible for us to return here to join the nation's conversations on the big issues that are going around in our dear country, Ghana. So as always, I'll go straight ahead and look at what the newspapers are reporting this morning. Daily Graphic says that Daily Graphic Greater Home Fair partnership key in affordable housing delivery developers. Retain Me MPP flag bearer Bawumia. And there's also strengthening bond with management to protect GCB's bank's matchless record. The Ghanaian Times, strengthening country's health system, VIP assures support. No excuses, GER Minister warns MMDCEs. Uncle Ebukwansa returns to Mecca tomorrow. I'm the most prepared candidate for MPP flag bearer role, Dr. Bawumia. Strengthening country's health system, VIP assures support. Daily Guide, we will restore sacked workers, Bawumia. Mahama targets single-digit inflation. CAGD staff fired over payroll fraud. NPP flag bearer raise. I am can-do candidate, Educhum. The Insight. Genocide in Gaza. Palestinian ambassador condemns Israel's killing of over 62,000 civilians, 247 journalists. PAs have no place in RCC meetings. GT Accra, or the Greater Accra Regional Minister, warns MMDCEs. China prepares to celebrate 80 years since World War II victory over fascism. You are the owners of our party, Brandy Champon tells mammoth crowd of MPP grassroots supporters. And there's China prepares to celebrate 80 years since World War II victory over fascism. There's ISA's Africa Regional Meeting in Accra to catalyze solar finance and skills and innovation. And also the Insight has a retraction and apology. You may want to grab it in and read that. The Herald, multi-million-dollar private deal frustrates 150,000 national service personnel. Haptel fingered in bitter turf war over NSA payments platform. Bawumia demands results, not insults, noise, bragging, and wealth flaunting as he jabs Ken Ejipon, Brandy Champon, others. Workers declare GBC boss persona non grata, demands his removal. And there's Boss rebrands as Boss Energies at 2025 AGM. Jata Cement exposes counterfeit bags, assures customers of quality. The Inquisitor. Yoko's action on stolen cars. Game Boys opts for hail ride. Goldboard offers license minus 832,000 bonus. 832 cedis bonus, sorry. Why I choose DMB over Ken, Napo explains. MPA holds downstream compliance workshop for tanker drivers in Accra. The Informer, school placement, GES warns against middlemen. I want to run in 2028, Mahama declares. NPP standard bearer raise, Bawumia stands tall. Napo, divisive politics, not my character, Bawumia. Rich hospital assault, GRNMA rejects committee report. Pay bribe or lose salary, controller officer busted in payroll fraud. The Daily Statesman, Ghana is Africa's first country to secure fledged licenses for timber exports. Accra to host key ISA regional meeting. Our race is for the soul of MPP, Bawumia tells colleague flag bearer aspirants delegates. Brian Grassroots are the lifeblood of MPP. Over 140 PWCs receive support from KEMA. Daily Post. 12% of tertiary students abuse cocaine, 11% abuse heroin. Opariado. BOST successfully hosts 2025 annual general meeting. And there's Jata Cement moves against counterfeit bags after fraudulent video surfaces. The Catholic Standard. Pope Leo XIV calls for global disarmament amid world conflict. And then there's also Stop the Cocoa Politics, Save the Farmers, Save the Nation. Ghanaian students abroad face deportation over unpaid scholarship. Grounded dignity, Ghana must end the jet politics. And there is the Catholic Standard's favorite editorial, Living Pope Leo's Peace in a World at War. Let me also look at the Daily Searchlight. Mohammed's MMDC is lazy, sleeping on the job, Oklu. And there's also, I'm the most prepared to lead MPP in Ghana in 2028. Baumia, Bole chieftaincy conflict, 6 dead bodies retrieved from the Black Volta so far. NADMO, Dr. Osei Educhum files nomination and vows to wage war against poverty. Gbenyere clashes when GMC appeals for humanitarian aid. There's National Lottery Authority rolls out new sticker to curb illegal lotto operations. And then there's interruption in water supply due to emergency repair works at Bong treatment plant. And BNFT, women hold just 26% of public sector managerial roles. There's Bagri Dam spillage threatens communities along Volta River. Visa, Zenith Bank launch innovative fleet solutions to empower businesses. And also unemployment dips to 13.1% in Q4 2024, but youth joblessness remains high. All right, so, and that's it for the newspapers, the front page of the newspapers that we have this morning. But let's check out what we have online as well. You're live on Good Morning Ghana on Metro Television. How do you find our news portal? That's Metro News Online. It's fantastic, isn't it? It's great. Fantastic stories, interesting angles, fantastic, what do you call it? Features and articles, etc. Check them out. Metro News Online, and give us the feedback on how your experience has been. Please stay with us. Don't go anywhere.
I'm here at Mycom JA Limited to show you the Promethean Active Panel, the ultimate tool for corporate institutions, hospitals, schools, and your home. With its crystal clear 4K display and an unbreakable screen with an ultra responsive touch technology, this isn't just a screen, it's a game changer. For corporate institutions and in schools, this active panel can be used for Zoom meetings and PowerPoint presentation. And oh, your homes are not left behind. You can use it to watch all your favorite programs by just connecting to a Fire Stick, and you can get access to channels like Netflix and Amazon, and voila, you are in there. At Mycom JA Limited, we provide you with the best quality products from the United States of America with 1-year warranty. You can get an active panel at a discounted price of 18,000 Ghana cedi only, and it comes with a Fire Stick, a webcam, and a microsystem. You can locate us at Chado Container behind the Trade Fair. Visit Mycom JA Limited today and elevate your tech.
Sometimes the unexpected happens and the hero falls down in his own story. But he needs not stay down for long. Cosmopolitan Health Insurance is your trusted health partner. Whether an individual building a business, with Cosmopolitan Health Insurance, your medical care is our concern. For the best health insurance solutions for corporate institutions, groups and associations, families and individuals, choose Cosmopolitan Health Insurance from our over 700 accredited health service providers nationwide. Call us on 0302 540 668 or 0501 678 547 for all your health insurance solutions. Cosmopolitan Health Insurance, your medical care is our concern.
Hello, my friends. My name is Calkit Toothpaste.
Wow.
I was made to be gentle on your gum, but protected. I will protect your teeth from cavity, make your teeth whiter, stronger, keep your mouth fresh all day. And best of all, I'm strawberry flavored. So put on a smile and try me.
That's amazing.
Just try me. That's my job.
If you say so, jump on my brush. Makes your teeth stronger, chicky whiter, chicky stronger. Yay! You did it!
I'm glad you like your new toothpaste. Don't forget to brush both day and night.
Calkits, happy smile.
I'm a brand manager. Of course, I accept only quality and affordable printed souvenirs for my promotional campaigns.
I'm the head of academic affairs of a very important institution in Ghana. Of course, we only deal with quality, reliable printing companies for our institution's printing materials. I'm talking about appointed time printing.
Appointed Time Printings. We take pride in our extensive print scope that transform your ideas into captivating visual masterpieces. We delve into the core objectives and vision of each print project. Precision printing is at the heart of our printing process as we meet your tight deadlines. Our rigorous inspection, color verification, and overall printing excellence are assured. 20 years of printing excellence. It's always a pleasure working with you to create a vibrant, dazzling printing experience that gives you a masterpiece. Appointed Time Printing, your world of quality and affordable printing.
Healthy soil is where every great harvest begins. At ACAP, we turn waste into wealth, producing rich organic compost made right here in Ghana for our farmers and our future. Whether you are planting small or big, ACAP compost improves your soil, boosts your yields, and saves you money. Even in your own home garden, give your soil life naturally. ACAP compost, from waste to wealth.
Kwame and his uncle are almost here.
Wait a minute. This one too, your friend Kwame.
Wait, Kwame? As in the same Kwame again?
Yes, mommy.
The second coming. Into all this tension just to reintroduce that broke boy from Kaswa.
Why would you deceive the family like this again?
Now I understand the whole delay. Troll from Kaswa. Why wouldn't he be late? Obeying late, of course.
Star 712 hash, star 712 hash. You go be the luckiest. Copy from Georgia be luckiest. From not the block, she be luckiest. Yeah, you go be luckiest. No matter why you're lucky. Everybody go be that luckiest.
That's Kwamio!
Senya God the boom. If you put it at so would the coming of the Son of Man be. Is that his car?
Dial star 712 hash. Choose your ticket. Enter your lucky number. Follow the prompts and let destiny handle the rest.
This promotion is regulated by the NLA on the Caritas platform.
To save Ghana. Thank you so very much. You didn't get that. I said, God bless you. Amen. God bless you. Someone says, God bless you. What?
This opportunity on behalf of the party to kneel down before my dad. Please forgive us. Let's come together to build this country. Thank you very much.
I need to see me and Papa. Me and Papa Susu. In spite of all these, but she's getting too fair.
Let's also look at his response to a daughter. What do you make of that?
He's my father. Like I said earlier, my father died at the age of 47. And in 1979, I was in secondary school, Form 4. And he's one of those who have made me who I am. He took care of me.
Is Anita also bleaching?
She's not bleaching. Do you know my children? I don't know if you know Belinda and Franklin. I'm not bleaching. Maybe he has admired me so much. This opportunity on behalf of the party to kneel down before my dad. Please forgive us. Let's come together to build this country. Thank you very much.
I need to see me and Papa.
Papa Susu. In spite of all these, but she's getting too fair.
Let's also look at his response to a daughter. What do you make of that?
He's my father. Like I said earlier, my father died at the age of 47, and in 1979 I was in secondary school, Form 4. And he's one of those who have made me who I am. He took care of me.
Is Anita also bleaching?
She's not bleaching. Do you know my children? I don't know if you know Belinda and Franklin. I'm not bleaching. Maybe he has admired me so much.
Oh, so your father had it wrong, saying you are bleaching.
My father?
Yeah.
No, you can say anything that you're. He's my father.
I'm deeply honored to be with you here this evening. And on behalf of my delegation and the people of Ghana, I'd like to thank Your Excellency for your gracious hospitality and for your warm and generous toast and the kind words you've spoken. We're truly touched by the kindness extended to us since our arrival in Singapore. Singapore stands as an inspiring testament to what vision, discipline, and collective purpose can achieve. The world admires your commitment to good governance, innovation, meritocracy, and social cohesion. These values have not only transformed this nation into a global hub of excellence, but they also resonate strongly with Ghana's own aspirations for inclusive and sustainable development. Our visit marks a significant milestone in the friendship between Ghana and Singapore, two diverse and dynamic societies united by a shared Commonwealth heritage and a common belief in the transformative power of education, enterprise, and the rule of law. It's a friendship founded on mutual respect and the conviction that partnership can drive progress. We see vast potential to deepen our cooperation in trade and investment. Ghana's strategic location and stable democracy offer a reliable gateway to the fast-growing African and West African markets, including the African Continental Free Trade Area, whose secretariat is currently hosted in Accra. In skills and education, Singapore's experience in building human capital and fostering innovation can enrich Ghana's own reforms. In technology and digital services, our young entrepreneurs can collaborate in fintech, e-governance, cybersecurity, and payments and settlements. In healthcare and urban solutions, your successes in planning, public health and infrastructure, spatial arrangements align with Ghana's priorities for resilient and people-centered growth. And in climate resilience and energy transition, our two countries can work together to unlock green finance and innovation for a more sustainable future. The Africa-Singapore Business Forum and other platforms are already bringing our private sectors closer together. We welcome more Singaporean companies to choose Ghana as their home and their hub in West Africa. And we look forward to Ghanaian firms partnering here in Singapore, learning, investing, and building value together.
Met Nkrumah, who is really not just a Ghanaian leader, but a Pan-African leader. And from those days, we've always viewed Ghana as a key player, not just in West Africa, but in Africa as a whole. I know you've inherited a very difficult set of challenges, but you're off to a very strong start in repairing the situation and re-injecting confidence in Ghana, and we in Singapore, in whatever way we can, through our government agencies as well as our companies, will do what is useful to support you in your efforts. We've had historical ties from the period of our first presidents, and we view Singapore as a role model in our journey to create prosperity for our people.
Accompanied by a large crowd of enthusiastic supporters, Dr. Educhum arrived at the party's headquarters to a charged atmosphere as hundreds of party faithful thronged the premises to show their solidarity and cheer him on. Speaking to the media after submitting his forms, Dr. Educhum called on party members and Ghanaians to support his bid to transform the country through bold, innovative leadership.
We are going to do what people never imagined will happen in this country. A young man who grew up literally on a cocoa farm with uneducated parents became the Minister for Education when his parents were not educated. That is what I believe is the Ghanaian dream. Opportunity for every youth who is listening to me today, every child listening to me today, for you to know that your better days are ahead of you and not behind you. Do not despair. Do not give up. Our government will do much, much, much better for you. We did something great. We may not have exceeded your expectations, but did something great. 2029, God willing. When you, the delegates, elect me January 31st and Ghanaian people accept me December 7, 2028, we're going to form a government that will forever put to rest this major question of poverty engulfing us.
Metro News also spoke with several of his supporters, many of whom expressed strong confidence in Dr. Educhum's vision and leadership qualities.
There is no candidate that has attacked Dr. Educhum because there's no dent on him. You will not find any dent on Dr. Educhum. This is the kind of candidate we will want to present in 2028 so that our opponents will not have things our party members have said against our own party person, using it against him going into the election 2028. That is why I have declared my support for Dr. Educhum. Two, if you look at Dr. Educhum's policies, if you look at the mindset and the ideas he has for Ghana, it is not about I would want to enrich myself and enrich my family. Dr. Educhum says he is going to alleviate poverty. How is he going to do that? He is going to make you and I rich. He is going to make you and I forget that there has been a situation in this country where there were people who could not afford 3 square meals. He has a plan for Ghana.
To me, I think Dr. Yaosei Educhum is the best among these 5. They are all qualified to hold this high position of a president. But to me, because Personally, Dr. Yaosei Duchum, as an MPP, we believe in, all traditions of the country. We gave Dr. Bawumia the chance to lead the MPP in 2024. Unfortunately, we lost woefully. The calls we are receiving from the grounds, from the grassroots, they are telling us that we should bring Dr. Yaosei Duchum. We know he's a Pentecost man, and he's from the Ashanti region. We are MPP. You have to understand some of these things. We need power. We don't need just a candidate. We need to capture power from this incompetent administration called NDC.
The NPP flag bearership contest is expected to be keenly contested, with former Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia facing stiff competition from former Asin Central MP Kennedy Agyapong. Other notable aspirants who have filed their nominations include former General Secretary of the party Kwabena Agyapong and Abetifi MP, and former Agriculture Minister Brian Achampong. The race is shaping up to be a defining chapter in the NPP's future as party delegates prepare to elect a new leader ahead of the 2028 general elections.
We lost 2024 elections after introducing many good programs. Unfortunately, due mostly to the economic pain that many of our citizens felt, the NDC managed to convince them with lofty promises to stay away or vote against us. We have learned our lessons. I assure you that these lessons will be put to good use when we return to office in 2029. However, it is becoming evident that the NDC does not intend to fulfill the lofty promises they made to Ghanaians in their quest for power. The promise to pay cocoa farmers at least 6,000 Ghana cedis is one they don't intend to keep. The promise to institute a state of emergency and repeal LI 2462 to fight Galamsey is one they do not intend to keep. The setup of the gold board to execute the gold purchase program is already unraveling, as miners are reluctant to sell their gold due to the unattractive prices offered. Remittances have reduced by 50% as a result of the misalignment in the exchange rate across the different foreign exchange markets. The promise to allow free expression is one they do not intend to keep. They promised to triple jobs and create new ones through the 24-hour economy. But it is evident that it was just a political gimmick. What the MPP and Ghana needs is a strong party that can hold the government accountable for these promises. Bawumia has always done that and will do that as flag bearer of the MPP.
And it's a January 31st. Let's go to a bar. No intimidation whatsoever. No more fears. We are going to go with our conscience. We are going to listen to what say and push our votes. Again, Ghanaians are looking for a businessman to create jobs for the youth of this country. We are no more going to listen to rhetorics. We want somebody who can create businesses for the youth of this country. I always say that any human being without a job has no life. Do you want life? Do you want life? Then go for the January 31st. Never will go to a bar. Yenya free fieba. See, what you throw more? Yes, more factory Japan, here to a bar. Oh, be a bar. Yes, the Japan, hold the bar, you go to a bar. What you buy, the more? Yes, the more Japan, man, you bet to a man. They're playing the BM and MPP. You put to me and ask you for second chance. It's a second chance. It's a second chance. And put to me right now. And you know, it's master. She said, I'm bringing your time, master. What's your name? No intimidation whatsoever. No more fears. Obia. We are going to vote with attention. We are going to listen to what Ghanaians are saying and push our votes. Again, Ghanaians are looking for a businessman to create jobs for the youth of this country. We are no more going to listen to rhetorics. We want somebody who can create businesses for the youth of this country. I always say that any human being without a job has no life. Do you want life? Do you want life? Then vote for the Japan for life.
I share this exciting news with you with clarity in my mind, energy in my body, duty in my spirit. I speak as a servant ready to offer myself fully once again for party, for country, for a future that must belong to all of us. I know what it means to build from the ground up. I know the weight of responsibility. I know how a single opportunity can transform not just one's life, but an entire family's future. Furthermore, I know the potential of Ghana, and I know the potential of our people, and I have delivered. I am bold. Today, I commit to join forces with you to continue the rebuilding of our party. We should reignite the base. We who are the heart and soul of our party. And of course, we need to unite our family once again. I stand not only as a flag bearer aspirant, which I know, inshallah, I shall win. But also to remobilize the youth of this country and channel them to opportunities and unearth their talent to prosperity. The NPP has a job to do in government. I shall win power and continue with that job. Today, having now submitted my form to run as flag bearer of the NPP, it effectively means that I have submitted my declaration for unity, for a disciplined campaign. Thus, my supporters north to south, east to west, must shy away from comments and commentary that smears individuals and ultimately affects the fortunes of our party. I come to unite. I come to build. I come to lead with conviction. And I come to win power for NPP.
Are you a headmaster, headmistress, parent, teacher, or an educator looking for high-quality textbooks for preschool, primary, and junior high school students? Look no further than Advocate Publishing Company. Advocate Publishing Company is a leading publisher of educational materials in Ghana that publishes very engaging interactive textbooks are thoroughly published to make learning fun and easy. They are also designed to stimulate critical thinking, problem solving, and creativity in students. Make Advocate Publishing your preferred choice for all your educational needs. Explore our range of textbooks and educational resources. Visit us at the old GNTC yard near Kingsway, Accra, or 02408 06354, also 0531 600360, and connect with us on Instagram, X, and Facebook at Advo Publishing. Don't settle for less. Choose the best. Advocate Publishing Company, empowering young minds one textbook at a time. Thinking publishing, think Advocate Publishing.
What iPhone papa? You were home.
So open iPhones accessories papa dia menhwe baby a.
Me mo akwa ba EBA phones and accessories.
Sebani EBA, yeton iPhones any home accessories. iPhone 50 XL cost 16 Pro Max. Accessories yon. Say ya nkwankwe, boja, and na say abanye juma your phone nyina. For 40% beji iPhone bia ope. Na ni aka no, wo de bosome miensa. Etua ni nkakra. Ekwan ya obefa so de atwie ni. Dial *713*5571#. Oba, sheno so se wo de wo Ghana card. Eni nia e kire se wo ye adwuma. Shusha ye chira kwan e wo circle mo. Any tip tolling ye ni modern photos enchen ho a. Afenso, se wo ba American mo a, ye ni odo rice e na di nhwani. Kumasi nso yewo Edum Central Prisons roundabout Ejekum Abonsan ni mu. Freya our numbers na ebu screen is no. EBA phones no hassle cry.
Wabedum time aso. J. Watch it, na learning. Missy, watch and learn. Mekwaya ma besisia. Abozege. Akache say no ya konate and the more drink woman. Hey. But I didn't mean. Oh, sorry. She knew her old days. Eji. Dabio, baby wom. Ready. Hey, baby wom. Uncle. Sorry, well, uncle, where would the dad? Why your funeral? At your phone for Aerofield Trading. Sorry, it killed them all.
No mum share nanda danya was mosquito call esudu womunumu. Na say spray with them musa. Try sima edronum ansana ko dynamo.
And Kratoi FDA Ajatum.
Tucked between the vibrant energy of Accra and the scenic charm of the Kwabena Hills, our gated community offers the perfect blend of tranquility and accessibility. Welcome to Rehoboth Knightsbridge, where nature meets opportunity. Secure your future with fully serviced plots with well-tarred roads, reliable drainage systems, electricity and water. Build your dream home in a community that cares for your well-being and safety. Indulge in basketball court, sauna and steam in the iconic shopping mall, all within reach. It's more than just a space. It's your sanctuary in the city. Wake up to mountain views, take a jog under palm-lined paths, and experience the perfect balance of city access and natural beauty. Starting at just 450,000 cedis with flexible payment plans. Visit www.rehobothpropertiesgh.com or call or WhatsApp 024-476-4499 or 020-495-0810. Rehoboth Properties, quality housing for all.
In life, choice is good, but choice plus safety is way better. Your safety and comfort is paramount. Under the cylinder recirculation model, you can buy LPG in a safe environment. All cylinders are inspected and maintained to the best safety standards, so your safety is assured. Just take your empty cylinder to the nearest exchange point and swap it for a filled cylinder. Different cylinder sizes will be available to meet your pocket size. Imagine cooking in a smoke-free environment. This will improve the health and well-being of you and your family. Choose LPG in a safer model of distribution. Cylinder recirculation model. Securing your safety. Creating more jobs. A message from the National Petroleum Authority under the patronage of the Ministry of Energy.
Kwame and his uncle are almost here.
Wait a minute. This one too, your friend Kwame.
Wait, Kwame. As in the same Kwame again?
Yes, Mommy.
I'm the second coming. Into all this tension just to reintroduce that broke boy from Kaswa.
Why would you deceive the family like this again? Now I understand the whole delay. Troll from Kaswa dear. Why wouldn't he be late? Or be later? Of course.
Star 712 hash, star 712 hash. Yeah, you go feel the luckiest. Coffee from Georgia be luckiest. From not the cause she be luckiest. Yeah, you go feel be luckiest. No matter why you're luckiest. Everybody go be the luckiest.
That's Kwame!
Senya God the boom. If you put it at all, so would the coming of the Son of Man be.
Hey!
Is that his car?
Dial star 712 hash. Choose your ticket. Enter your lucky number. Follow the prompts and let destiny handle the rest.
This promotion is regulated by the NLA on the Caritas platform.
Some loves are born in the blink of an eye.
I've been madly in love with her since the first time I saw her. Then let's get married today.
I'll be the happiest woman in the world by your side.
And they kill your soul in a flash. Televisa presents You Are the One. Angela dreams of keeping her promise to be a great doctor and help her people. Alvaro, ambition is stronger than his dream. And this greed will lead him to commit the worst betrayal to the woman he loves.
I will have a husband no matter what.
Samantha, will you please marry me?
Turning all her dreams into painful disappointments and dangerous consequences.
I've been waiting for you to answer my calls, Alvaro. I haven't heard anything from you. I've sent you so many messages, but you've never responded.
Have you left the bus station?
I just want to pay my debt and get out of here.
Her photographs are going to sell fast, and she will be our gold mine. Our clients will love those.
Are you looking for a boyfriend?
You are the one. Featuring Alejandra Robles Gil, Brandon Peniche, Danilo Carrera, Bárbara Islas, Ernesto LaGuardia, and a great cast.
Smart, bold, unapologetic. This is Annie Ampofo. The voice of reason, a force of media. She's the one Ghana turns to every Monday morning for the headlines that matter and the conversations that shape all of us.
And on the basis of Article 34, that's the Directive Principles of State Policy, we meet here again this morning, and you're welcome to Good Morning Ghana.
And when the afternoon rolls in, she's back, cutting through the noise, asking the tough questions, and bringing clarity to the issues that matter.
A committee to investigate containers carrying ECG cables that are meant for Ghanaians or meant to provide light for the good people of Ghana.
In the morning, in the afternoon, Annie Ampofo isn't just reporting the news. She's shaping the conversations that shape all of us. Annie Ampofo, smart, fearless, unmatched, only on Metro TV.
In Ghana's evolving economy, staying informed isn't an option. Business never sleeps. Markets shift. Deals are made. Power moves happen. From the boardrooms to the marketplaces. From government policies to global market trends, we bring you the insights, the analysis, and the strategies that shape your money, your business, and your future. Join us every Tuesday and Thursday from 12 noon to 2 p.m. on Good Afternoon Ghana Business on Metro TV, your ultimate guide to Ghana's evolving business landscape.
All right, so you're live on Good Morning Ghana on Metro Television, and the show, remember, is also live on 94.1 FM. It's crystal clear for those of you who can't watch it on TV, but you can watch it on, you can listen to or monitor it on radio. Please tune into 94.1 FM. So my guests are seated, and it promises to be a very, very, very interesting and intellectually stimulating conversation today. We have a lot to talk about, and my guests, as I did indicate, are here. So Al-Hassan Suhaimi is NP for Tamale North and also Deputy Minister in charge of roads and highways, or Ghana's roads and highways, is here with us. Good morning, sir.
Morning.
Thank you very much for joining us. And assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
And Juma Mubarak.
Juma Mubarak.
Yeah. And also joining us one more time is our own Paul Adum Ochi, host of Good Evening Ghana. He's a seasoned journalist and also the former board chair of Ghana Airport Company Limited. He's with us. We're privileged to have him again on the show today. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Thank you very much for joining us on the show. And it's a pleasure to have you as well. Now,
I watched Paul last week.
You watched him last week?
Yeah, with his very good friend, and senior brother Kojo Chumbuafo. And at a point, I sent you a text. I was wondering who was hosting the show. Because you almost hijacked it. I'm saying that because he's our senior. We're all journalists on set, and I hope we won't have that situation this morning where we'll hijack your show and host it for you.
No hijacking of shows today.
No hijacking.
Paul has promised me that there's no hijacking today. All right, so let's look at this issue. But before we get on with our main issues for the day, Al-Hassan, you were here a few weeks ago, and you gave us, or you made us a promise, and said that the Ofankor and Sawam Road would see the contractor, return to site, and quite clearly that's happening. What's been the progress of work from what you know so far?
Well, once again, good morning to you. Good morning to our senior Paul, and good morning to our viewers, especially the very good people of the Tamale North constituency. It's always a pleasure to be on this platform, and thank you very much for the invitation. Yesterday, I used that road. I was in Akwatia. Okay. I still struggle to mention the name of the town. I was in Akwatia yesterday to support our parliamentary candidate in the by-election that is upcoming. And we used that road, and I took advantage of that trip to pay particular attention to the work that was being carried out by the contractor. And I must say I was quite impressed with the level of work that has been done in the last couple of days. I was also impressed with the mobilization that I saw on site. Many workers, many equipments were on site, and it gives me the assurance that the contractor will fast-track the work and complete it within schedule. The contractor is very well known, and his capacity is without doubt. We all appreciate the problems that he was faced with at the time, and that had to do with the inability of government to make available funds for him to continue. Fortunately, in a very tight situation, we have been able to raise some funds for him, substantial funds for him, and I believe that should be enough for him to take the work to a more appreciable level. That is before the next payment is due, and hopefully by that time government would have been more liquid than we are currently to continue to release funds for him to finish the work. It's a very, very critical network. I mean, if you look at the geography of this country, it is the most reliable route that connects the north of the country to the south of the country. And so goods, services, and people tend to use that road more. And it is not surprising that when it was in that state, the uproar was that loud. And we appreciate the concerns of those who use that particular road. Like I said when I appeared before the Public Accounts Committee, it's one of the hot potatoes that we, inherited, and we have been doing everything possible to ensure that we resolve challenges associated with that particular contract, because we appreciate the critical nature of that road. And I must commend the contractor and all the road users for their cooperation so far.
What targets have you given the contract in terms of when to complete this project?
Sometime next year. I think we are looking at middle of next year.
Okay.
Middle of next year.
And from what you've seen so far, do you think it's on schedule?
I think so. I mean, since I got to the road ministry, I've come to appreciate the different tasks that are involved in road construction. And when you use that road, you realize that the most critical things that have to be done have already been done. And what is usually left is not that tasking. It's not that much. And that is why I believe that with funds available, the contractor should be able to finish the work sometime next year. You look at the concrete works, most of that has been done already. And it's just some earthwork here and there that he still needs to do. But the most critical part of the job, when you use that road, have already been taken care of.
What's the latest with the big push?
So the latest is that we have approval from the PPA to sole source some companies to begin work. And it's as a result of our determination to complete these projects within schedule. I mean, it was going to take a very long time for the projects to start if we're going to do competitive bidding, as we earlier on advertised, because it was going to take us about 6 months or so to complete the whole process. And we don't have that time. And if the finance minister has made, funds available and put it in the budget, we can't wait that long. And so we decided that those that could be, solely awarded should be awarded. And again, we considered roads that already have contractors on them or contracts on them. I mean, if you look at the Ofanko road, for example, it's part of the Big Push. There's already a contractor on it. We decided to put it under Big Push because when it was signed, there was no dedicated funding source. And that is why we had the problem that we had only a couple of weeks ago, which led to the uproar that we, had to deal with in the media. So it is already under contract. So really, you don't need competitive bidding to award that, under Big Push. Again, if you look at the Kaswa-Winneba Road, there's already a contractor on site. All we are doing is redesigning and extending it beyond the Winneba roundabout. And it is the same contractor that we want to continue with our work. So in that particular case too, you do not really need competitive bidding to award that contract. And if you look at also the stretch from Techima all the way to Sola, there were a number of them that already had contractors on them. And so we decided that we needed to just put them under the Big Push, where they will have a dedicated source of funding to fast track the work that they were already doing before we came into office. What we are doing under Big Push is just to prioritize, these critical roads. It's just to prioritize them. It's not really about who gets the job. It's about who executes it faster. And if you already have people on it who have demonstrable capacity of executing, but their only challenge is funding, there's really no need to open it up again for another bidding process. And so we have approval now from the PPA to award most of these contracts. The new ones that we also consider critical, that cannot wait, that we have added to the project. I'm sure when His Excellency the President returns, he will cut short for those ones to also begin. So we are almost at take-off point now when it comes to the Big Push projects. Yes.
Okay, we can only wish you the best.
Thank you. Thank you.
Once you succeed, Ghana succeeds.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But I just also want to add that the big push projects are not the only road projects that we'll be doing in this country in the 4-year mandate that the good people of Ghana has given us. There are many other road projects. The road ministry has not closed its portfolio on road projects that it used to undertake in the past. The road ministry remains the road ministry. The road fund still exists. The budget of the ministry is still available to it. And the road ministry will still carry on like it used to before the conceptualization of the Big Push agenda. And so people should not think that the Big Push project is the only program that the Ministry of Roads and Highways have. I tend to get the feeling when you speak to contractors that if they didn't get Big Push, then that means there's no road for them to construct, but that is not the case. The road ministry will continue to run just like it used to run. This is just a special project of His Excellency President Mahama. The Big Push is just a special project of His Excellency President Mahama. And he has decided to dedicate a chunk of our budgetary support, a chunk of our budget to this program of his. And the Ministry of Road is simply supervising that program. It could have been a special presidential initiative like we used to have in the sloganeering ages, recent past. But it is not the case because we think that the road ministry is seized with the necessary technical know-how to supervise these projects, and that's why it's not a presidential special initiative, and it is just couched as a Big Push agenda supervised by the road ministry. But it will not take away the regular duties of the Ministry of Roads and Highways. And so what was used to declare Year of Roads is still available for the ministry to undertake roads. And so people should be rest assured that if their roads are not captured under the Big Push, it does not mean that it will not get attention.
What again is the latest with the issue of road contractors? Again, it was one of the issues that I raised you to the last time you came here, because as soon as you came here, I had tons of messages from road contractors where you wanted to know when they were going to be paid. Do you have any update for us on that?
Well, so Moro, again, another hot potato. We inherited a ministry with a debt portfolio of about 21 billion Ghana cedis. And that is debt accruing as a result of works carried out by contractors. And I say this all the time, that road contractors seem to be one of the most patriotic citizens that you can find, because I hardly know of an area where people sometimes have to put their, properties and essential earnings at risk just so that they can carry out jobs for government. I mean, you have contractors go and put up houses that they have toiled to build, vehicles that they have struggled to acquire, just so that they can pick a loan from the bank. And all risk are borne by them. And then they use it to construct a road, and they are unaware of when they will ever get paid. So that's why I say that they seem to be one of the most patriotic citizens that you can find. But given the situation where we inherited the level of debt that we inherited and the economy in the shape that it was in, we all knew from the start that it was going to take a while for us to come out of the economic doldrums that we found ourselves in before the 2024 general elections. Thanks be to God, things are beginning to point in the right direction. And it is not just happening because of chance. It is happening because of deliberate decisions that the government have taken to invest in some critical areas to enable the economy to breathe again. I mean, if I can use that terminology, to breathe again and to regenerate itself. And when that happens, I mean, it will throw up the needed funds for us to attend to some of these debts that we inherited. As things stand now, one of the critical areas we have had to battle with as a government has been the energy sector debts as well. And you know, the energy sector debts are such that when they are not immediately tackled, the consequences are immediately felt by all of us. Businesses will begin to suffer as a result of non-availability of power to produce, and citizens will begin to feel it immediately. And so government, to some extent, in the last couple of months, have prioritized the payment of debts in that sector. And very soon, I'm sure that before the end of next month, the concentration will be not shifted, shared to the road sector as well. In the last couple of months, we attempted to make some payments as a result of some funds that became available. But due to the exigencies of the time, it had to again be used to fund other critically essential needs of government. But the finance minister has assured that before the end of this year, substantial payments will be made to contractors, because we need that so that some of the works that are not complete will not deteriorate beyond a certain point where we may have to re-award the contracts again and end up spending twice the amount we would have spent to complete those projects. So I am assured by the finance minister, and I have no doubt to doubt the ministry's word, given the performance that they have put up so far, that before the end of the year, contractors will be smiling, and they will be paid substantially to enable them go back to sites. Those who are already on site, despite the indebtedness to government, we remain very grateful to them. And like my minister has always said, I mean, when the rainy days begin, we will also show our appreciation by way of prioritizing their debts. And so we understand that as a result of the non-payment, many of them have abandoned site. But we just want to assure them that they will eventually be paid. So if they can mobilize from anywhere to remain on site, to finish the projects, to continue the projects in some cases, they should be rest assured that this is a government that is committed to responding to the challenges that they face in due course, and doing so very well. And I want to assure them once again that they should have no fears at all. Those who are on site, once again, we are grateful and we see you, and we will attend to you when the time comes with priority.
Okay. So you have heard it here, and perhaps for the first time, road contractors who are complaining that you've not been paid, Alhassan Suhuyini is giving you that firm promise that by the end of September, you should be hearing some good news. And so when you hear the good news too, please send me a message. You don't only send me a message when the monies have not been paid.
Contractors don't like it when they are paid.
Oh, yes, they go quiet. They won't tell you. They won't tell you. Please let us know so we can also say it publicly. So let's now get on with our main conversation for the day. And I want us to start from an issue which, for some reason, it was a rumor, but it was very rife. It was all over the place, and it also gained some traction because some bigwigs within the NPP had raised it also publicly, and they were very, very convinced that the president, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, was committed to basically twisting the arms of the law in order for him to be able to seek a third term. And remember that this matter came up at the time when Justice Tokonu was facing, impeachment. Now, the president has finally broken his silence on this matter, and most of the newspapers yesterday carried it. Even today, the Informer newspaper has carried same. And I want us to look at this story and then have a conversation around it. Now, the Informer has a news desk report, and it says that President John Dramani Mahama has dispelled rumors of a suspicion that he would tamper with the 1992 Republican Constitution of Ghana to pave the way for him to run for a third term as president in 2028. According to him, his focus is to tackle and enforce fiscal discipline so as to nip in the bud the overspending that comes with election years and consequently fuel cyclical economic crisis. The president gave the assurance when he spoke at the bilateral meeting with Singaporean President Tharman Shanmugaratnam during his 3-day state visit to Singapore. And I quote him, I'm going to quote him, "I will not be a candidate in the next elections, and therefore I can hold the line when it comes to fiscal discipline." Now, President Mahama's declaration comes in the wake of a caution given by managing editor of the Inside newspaper, Kwesi Pratt Jr., for him, Mahama, not to bow to pressure from within and without government to amend the constitution, paving way for him to go for a third term as president. Mr. Pratt's warning comes in the wake of insensate calls by a section of the Ghanaian public, including prominent political figures and religious leaders, claiming ambiguity in Article 66(2) of the constitution, which stipulates the presidential term limits. According to the veteran journalist and human rights activist, those who want to destroy President John Dramani Mahama are not just those who are waging a campaign against his person, policies, and actions. They include those who are asking him to play God. Now, these are the people who insist that without him, Ghana will collapse. And to prevent that from happening, the 1992 Constitution should be amended to enable him to run for a third term. The point they make is that President John Dramani Mahama is the only one amongst the 32 million people of Ghana who has leadership qualities. This is most certainly an insult to the people of Ghana, and the President Mahama, I know, will not encourage it. The mark of a good leader is the ability to mentor people to follow in his or her path. And the challenge for President Mahama is to his duties after he leaves office on January 7, 2029. Now, history teaches us all that leaders who attempt to defy their rule or to deify their rule eventually get cast into the dustbin of rotten governance. The doctrine of the divine rule of kings has no place in governance in 2025. These were contained in his write-up post on X, formerly Twitter. Now, in this wise, he advised President Mahama not to entertain such calls as to preserve his image and keep his reputation intact. Now, it says, following growing calls for an interpretation by the Supreme Court of the provisions of Article 66(2), Professor H. Kwesi Prempeh has said there is no ambiguity as far as the provisions in the Constitution are concerned, indicating that there is nothing to interpret. He notes that there is nowhere in the text which makes room for ambiguity and that the term limit is total and not conditional. He stated that no judge can alter the meaning of the article to permit President Mahama to seek a third term. There's nothing to interpret about the presidential term limits provision in the 1992 Constitution, none whatsoever. This kind of thinking or talk is only possible in a legal culture that has raised or taught generations of lawyers and judges to believe that not even a clear constitutional text, one that is not in tension with the structure or history or purpose or spirit of that text or any other part of the Constitution can constrain a judge. This is what the Ghana-style so-called modern purposive approach to constitutional interpretation appears to have led us. Any interpretation of Article 66(1) to the effect that a president who has been elected to a second term can stand election again, i.e. a third term, upon the expiration of the second term is illegitimate and bogus. Oh, what do you make of this?
Well, thank you very much. It's very interesting. I like the reaction that has come from different people in different groups. Some have even criticized President Mahama for stating it because they said it is obvious. But it has an effect on both the MPP and the NDC in very different ways. Whether the president should have done it or not, I think the answer is yes, he should. What he did was correct. Because we've all heard the rumors, as you said. And this is something that has been said by many presidents in the past to give assurances to the people, because we still have a very fragile democracy. And Article 66(2) says a person shall not be elected to hold office as president for more than 2 terms. That's all it said. It's one of the shortest articles in there. We know that there's 2 consecutive terms. There may be terms that are not consecutive. What really did the Constitution mean? So a president who has been elected with such a big majority as President Mahama can begin a process of national engagement about this. It may waste the people's time. He may not succeed, but he will be able to achieve it. And that can even slow down the nation. So if he comes and says, I'm not doing it, I think it is. Akufo-Addo said the same thing, didn't he? Akufo-Addo had done 2 consecutive terms, but he found occasion to say that I'm not running for a 3rd term. It's always important to calm people down. Now, what does it do to the NDC? There are good and there are not so good parts. Now, to the NDC, what it does is that President Mahama may have, by making this statement boldly and confidently, whilst it helps the nation, he may have, in de facto terms, kick-started the contest within the NDC for his succession. Because you will notice that if you are an NDC person or a big NDC minister, and President Mahama comes in the 2nd term, wins such a big margin, very popular at the time, you would want to gauge how the next 1 year, 2 years is going to go before you stick out your neck, unless you are very bold, or unless you have done it, you have already told your story before. Now, if the president decides that he wants to engage the general public about the meaning of Article 66, either by a constitutional amendment process, one of which we have is underway, or by a Supreme Court interpretation, as minister and as a loyalist of the president, you have to abide by that and wait for that process to finish before you can now stick out your neck and say, I'm running or I'm not running. So if I want to look at individuals, for instance, if you take a person like the Honorable Minister for Education, the Honorable Haruna Iddrisu, President Mahama's statement has taken off the limit that the Dagbani culture and Islam may have placed on him in this conversation. What is the limit that the Dagbani culture places on him? He said Dagbani. Dagbanis recognize elderhood.
You mean Dagomba?
Dagomba.
Yeah,
yes,
Dagomba is the language.
Sorry. Dagomba culture.
Dagomba culture, yeah.
Dagombas recognize elderhood. And to all intents and purposes, Iddrisu Haruna will see President Mahama as his elder. Now, you don't go and start a contest when you don't know when your elder in that situation wants to do.
Yeah.
So somebody like Haruna Iddrisu's ambition, if there is any, would have been kept until this announcement. Now President Mahama says, I am not doing it. So he's able to begin the thinking. And many NDC leaders would have to resist that temptation to receive this information as a de facto signal of the beginning of the contest. If you are Julius Debra and you're chief of staff of the president, you would have to definitely hold your horses until you are clear in your mind what the president wants to do with this matter. Maybe the president wants to settle this matter once and for all. What did the Constitution mean? What do the people of Ghana want? If the president decides there's going to be a process, you have to wait until that process is over. But now, the president has said that I'm not running. So almost de facto terms, people can start running, which may not be very good for the country, but can politicians resist that temptation? I don't know. If you come to the lead candidate, the party chairman, Johnson Asiedu Nketia, even though people talk about it and we all know, he's not really come out clearly to say anything. But now, the boss says that he's not running. And so all of these opportunities open up. So we have to look and gauge in the media space and within the political circles what that happens, what that does to the NDC. But in terms of President Mahama's announcement, it's perfect and it's positive. Even President Donald Trump, we had heard when he became president that he and some of his supporters were contemplating this. And in America, it may be easier than it is in Ghana because they have had, until the 22nd Amendment, they had presidents who can run more than 2 terms, 2 consecutive terms. Franklin Roosevelt, I believe, was the last person to have done that. And then in 1951, they brought the amendment. So an American president can say that, okay, let's go back to pre-22nd Amendment. So that may be easier. Ghana is more difficult because now I have that situation. But because our democracy is young, it is important that the leaders make these statements so that they solidify the democracy and then we move on. Some may even think President Mahama should have taken the opportunity for us to settle this. That's another view. For the NPP, there were those who felt that if President Mahama decides to begin any process towards another term, it was positive for the NPP because some of them were sure that if this happens, this is an own goal the NDC is scoring. Ghanaians were going to resist it, and Ghanaians thereby were going to resist NDC, and the 2028 elections will happen as planned, and the NPP was going to take advantage of that. So there were people in the NPP who thought that, let's keep quiet and let's see whether he does it, because if he does, it's actually good for us. Now, that own goal will no longer be scored. And so the NPP must now look fairly and squarely at other ways in which they can win the 2028 election, because if this was one of the ways that they were contemplating, certainly, now it's gone. So that is the effect that this announcement is going to have on the nation, on the constitutional democracy, positive, on the NDC, potentially. It is a de facto signal that, hey, guys, you can begin the process, which is not good for the government because it's a new government, less than a year old. You don't want the process to begin. And this is part of the difficulties that was expressed ahead of the 2004 election, because this cycle of changing the president, if you look at the constitutional arrangement, is designed to occur every other election. It's not designed to occur this election and the next election, because this nation always suffers. The economy always suffers from it. So in 2024's election, you are changing the president because he's finished his 2 terms. It is anticipated that the president who comes would also be able to run 2 terms. And so you have a longer period and then you don't have a fragile government so early. But here is a case where 2024 we have changed the president, and then the next election we are changing the president again. So, and we are very early in it. And this always happens in a second term. Once you turn a second term and the oath is taken by the president for the last time, quickly the whistle is blown and people start. So we would have preferred that to happen for the sake of the economy and for the sake of the nation and running it. Every other election, not back-to-back elections, but well, that's what we are saddled with. That is what the dictates of our constitution says. That's what the people of Ghana actually voted for. So we have to deal with it, but we have to be hopeful and hope that we can count on the magnanimity of the leaders in the NDC, that whereas they are entitled to go for this, they may have to slow it down a bit in favor of the work that has been given to them by the president and by the government to run. Because if soon we see ministers at each other's throats over the succession, the country suffers. I mean, politicians on the opposite side may be excited about it, but it's always never really good for the country. We want unison. If President Mahama was definitely running, you won't have people thinking Ato Forson getting suspicious of this. The party chairman is in the race. Chief of staff seems to be in the race. It's let's hope that we can build on the magnanimity of Honorable Suhuyini and his friends, that they would hold their horses and perhaps draw this in maybe January 2027 or something like that. It might not be helped by the NPP's early Congress, because as soon as the NPP elects his leader, he will get on the campaign trail and start it. There will be, so we use the effects of President Mahama's announcement, and we just have to rely on the magnanimity of the NDC leadership so that we can coast through until we are ready for a battle.
Now, it's an interesting point you raised, Paul, because I recall, I think it must have been this week, I heard the national chairman of the party, that's Asiedu Nketia, talk about the same issue, where he says those who are peaking ahead of time, relax, because if the NDC doesn't succeed, it doesn't matter who the NDC puts up in 2028, they'll struggle. So it looks like there are issues, and it appears that people have already started lobbying and doing all kinds of things. So it sort of addresses the point that you made. But I want us to stay a bit on, Alassane, I'll come to you, a bit on what this announcement means for NDC MPP politics. You talked about how some persons within the MPP, for instance, are thinking that, look, if Mahama wants to go again, that'll be scoring an own goal. So then, that's an advantage to them. But there are also some who are saying that, look, if Mahama does not go, so within the same MPP, what this means for whoever wins, and of course, those who are saying this are more like proponents of Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, adherents of Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, saying that if Mahmoud Bawumia goes in the 2028 elections, now it is not Mahama. So essentially, the grounds would have been softer, or things would have been much easier for them in 2028. What do you make of that as well?
Well, it's difficult to tell what will happen in 2028, because in this country we have had political parties believe that a certain opponent in the other party is weaker, and that opponent has defeated them. Yeah. It happened in 2000. In 1998, the NDC were happy that Ado Dankwa Akufo-Addo was defeated in Sunyani, and that Kufuor was a candidate that they could manage better. Kufuor defeated them. Some people hold the theory, yes, they were having a conversation, some held the theory that proposition is true, because if Akufo-Addo had been the candidate in 2000, the MPP would have won a first straight round victory because he was popular. Others think that no, the issues that may have plagued him in 2008 would have come up in 2000 as well, etc., etc. Since the defeat of John Mahama in 2016, proponents of the MPP had always held for the 2020 election and for the 2024 election that Mahama is a cool chop. You've had Mustafa Hamid and others talk about, oh, they want to bring Mahama, oh, that's easy for us. And you have heard arguments about NDC should change their candidates, Mahama is a spent force and all of that. So there was some thinking that John Mahama was always an easier run for the NPP in any election. We saw what happened. In 2020, we saw what happened. And in 2024, we saw what happened. So, yes, some people may think that, oh, if Mahama is not there, we have an easier deal. Yeah. And you may get a candidate who can come up and deal with it. There's the conversation about second-time candidates' work, candidates' work. I think that is basically correct in political marketing. When you have a candidate that has been repeated, basically it makes sense that people would like him. But I think the youth of Ghana are demanding more than that, you know, and we saw that in the 2024 elections, where some of the data and some of the statistics that came out cannot be seen in any of the past elections that had been run. It should suggest to us, if we trust the results of 2024, that something dramatic is going on within the Ghanaian voting population, within the Ghanaian social stratification of politics. Otherwise, how did we come to an election in 2028 where as many as 2 million people all across did not, in Accra, everywhere, in NDC areas, in NPP areas, together 2 million people did not turn up to cast their ballot. And that was not because they were disinterested. Perhaps we have to have a research to look at that. Right. Was it as a result of disinterest? Because there are two ways in which people boycott a vote. They are either boycotting to make a statement or they are not interested. So I don't think that the 2 million people who didn't vote as a result of disinterest in the matter. I think they were making a statement. For some people, they were making a statement against their own party. For some people, they were making a statement against politics in general. Right. So it should tell us that there is a major turning point. And that happened, this turning point about the youth happened in France before our election. Perhaps we were not watching. When the Macron government was rudely shocked into a first round election that the far right almost won. And everybody in France had to rise up for the second round to make sure that the far right doesn't win. But they never thought that anybody in 2024 will be thinking about bringing in a far-right government into a Central European country like France. But the young people were demanding something, and the campaign promises of the far-right sounded very sexy to them, and so they went out there, they voted. So we shouldn't think that there are some principles that will follow. So for Dr. Bawumia and his team, I believe that they are not particularly excited that once we are elected, we have a second term, and therefore we have very little to do, and we'll just pick it up. Okay. No one is just going to pick up 2028 election. Hard questions are going to be asked by the youth. Many questions. So I can see the point. Historically is being correct. Repeating candidates is basically correct for political marketing. But the kind of young people and the demands they are making and the influence of social media and the connection with other countries is radically changing the minds of the people. And I said before that if 2028 does not deliver, Ghana may be heading towards an independent candidate winning elections one day. That's interesting. Because the people, it happened in Benin. And if you go to Benin today, they have not regretted voting for an independent candidate. Look at what is happening in Benin. So the political class must, I think, abandon the historical sort of indications and deal with what is before them. Okay. Take your victim as you have it. They should deal with what is before them. Right. This is the youth of Ghana. This is what they are demanding. Whether we are second on the ballot, whether we've come before, whether we've come, it doesn't really matter.
We'll delve a bit more deeper into this analysis, especially when we get to the topic on people filing their nominations and so forth, the people who are filing with their messages and so on and so forth. I think that this analysis would really be extremely important at the time. But Alassane, what do you also make of what the president has said? There's someone who actually even feel that he shouldn't have been spoken about this at all. I don't know where you stand.
Yeah, I stand with the latter.
Okay.
Because I don't believe there was a rumor. What I saw was an agenda that was being set by some people and hoping that either way it will elicit the kind of reaction that the president has given them. There were those in the NPP who I think should be apologizing to His Excellency President Mahama now and the NDC, but they won't. They set the agenda and went to the extent of even holding press conferences to suggest it as if they were speaking facts and even enacted scenarios, such as the legal tussle that the Chief Justice is engaged in, as basis of their, suggestion that His Excellency President Mahama intended to run for a third term. I think such people in a decent democracy should be apologizing to all of us for taking us for granted and for spewing such ridiculous, reasons just to justify their defense of the Chief Justice, who is purely being taken through the constitutional provisions. But like I said, they will not apologize. That is part of that agenda that has led to President Mahama's response. And Moro, there was no silence, because really, when I read the papers and they say he has broken his silence, it's not as if it was a matter that, required his response or his statement. It's cast in stone. It's basic. It's self-explanatory. But you know why perhaps the people who set this agenda did what they did? These are people, Muru, who have gone to the extent of convincing all of us and actually interpreting it at the Supreme Court that a Ghanaian birth certificate is not proof of nationality. A Ghanaian birth certificate, like with all the details of your parents being Ghanaian, is still not proof of nationality. And so sometimes I think that some of this agenda setting is based on what people could have done or would have done if they had similar opportunities. So they saw that President Mahama's popularity level was that high. And perhaps they started imagining themselves in that shoes and began to, imagine how they have convinced all of us that even if you have a birth certificate with your mother and father being Ghanaian, it's not proof of birth of nationality. And then perhaps they started toying with that idea that, well, if we were in this shoe, we could, take advantage of this popularity and once again misinterpret and mislead everybody to accept that, a birth certificate with parents being Ghanaian is not proof of national identity. So even when it is so absolute, as it has been stated in 66(2), and I hope I can quickly open to that and just share with you. I mean, that article is the cornerstone of democratic change, Moro. It's put in almost every democratic constitution because democracy is to permit change. So where it does not allow the concentration of power. So where one man is so popular, it will still result in the person being changed because the cornerstone of democracy is change. And so when you look at 66(2), I can't imagine where and how that is ambiguous. Moro, it states simply that a person shall not be elected to hold office as President of Ghana for more than 2 terms. Full stop. Shall not be elected to hold office as President of Ghana for more than 2 terms. Where is the ambiguity? Where is the need for a president to break silence on this? And mind you, we are not talking about a President Rawlings who transitioned from a military rule to a democratic rule, and perhaps there would have been fears entertained at the time that he may not want to quit. We are talking about a President Mahama, and we are not talking about, 4 years of our democracy, 8 years of our democracy. We are talking about 20 years plus of our democracy. A President Mahama who has been in public life since we started this democratic experiment. And it's been very difficult to fault him democratically in terms of his democratic principles. He served as an assemblyman, he served as a member of parliament, served as vice president, and now as president. And throughout this period of service, there's no one time that he was ever held responsible for going against blatantly the Constitution, blatantly against the Constitution. He's a man who respects the rule of law by deed and by words. It's not like what we have heard in the past. This is a man who throughout his period, you can't say that he has engaged in anything subtly or openly that, you know, confronts the belief that he's a man who respects the rule of law. Clearly. So there was no need for him to break silence on this matter. Like I said, Article 66(2) is the cornerstone of every democracy. And it's not just in Ghana. It's the cornerstone of every democracy. It allows for change. So even if a party is popular or a man is popular, his party will still have to change him. That is what Article 66(2) seeks to do. And that is what democracy should be about. So that power is not concentrated in the hands of one person for a very long time. And the article emphasizes on term limits and not serving. And we have determined in Ghana that a term is 4 years. So in any democracy, if the term is more than 7 years, that one person can serve for that length of period. So it does not, this article is not just in the Ghanaian constitution, it's in many other constitutions. In fact, I think all democratic constitutions have this article. But the emphasis is always on term limits and not serving. So where a democracy chooses to run 70 years a term, you can have one person rule for 17 years. But our democracy has come of age. And any president that thinks that he can toy with this particular article will have the Ghanaian people to confront with. Because no matter how much, you know, one is celebrated, we always believe that we have all come to accept that there's good in change. There's improvement in change. Yes, sometimes we experience deterioration, but that is the beauty of democracy. When we experience that deterioration, then we appreciate what was better. And so I think that it was needless to begin with, but perhaps it was important to those who have the penchant of misinterpreting and misleading all of us, especially when it serves them right, when there's a benefit for them. Because Moro, I still cannot fathom how you tell me that a birth certificate that says my mother is Ghanaian, my father is Ghanaian, and I was born in Ghana, does not prove that I am a national of Ghana. Okay. But the Supreme Court upheld this and interpreted this to be the case. And so when such people begin to talk about Article 66(2) and talk of ambiguity, my suspicion is that if they had the opportunity that President Mahama currently, you know, is enjoying, they probably would have thought of tinkering with it. And they project their ill motives on him. But he is a disciplined man. Right. He is not somebody who will, you know, take undue advantage of the goodwill that the people of Ghana have showed him all these years. Okay. Now, let me introduce an angle that I find interesting when I read Article 66(2). Okay. And I'm not a lawyer. I haven't been to law school before. My brother is. But at least I think that the conversation will be much more edifying and elevating if we are discussing whether a former president can contest to go to parliament and become a legislator. That for me will be intellectually stimulating. Whether a former president can even run as vice president, can be selected as vice president. That for me will be intellectually stimulating. Because Article 66(2) does not say anything about that. So you may not be able to run as president to be elected for more than 2 terms, but can you partner somebody and be a vice president to the person after your after serving your legal 2 terms? It is, for me, that would be an interesting conversation to have.
Okay.
Whether you can decide, Nana Akufo-Addo was a very good legislator,
Yes.
that you want to spend your idle time as former president in parliament to contribute to lawmaking.
Okay.
Especially with your rich experience having served as president.
It's an interesting,
that would be an
no,
intellectually
it's
stimulating conversation to have.
It's an interesting conversation, and I'm sure that one of these days, when the two of you hopefully get to meet again, we can look at that. But you know, there are 2 strands of this matter. One has to do with whether or not the president should have spoken to this issue or not. And I think that you have make your case as to why you thought that the president should have remained silent, which is fine.
And you see why again?
I
think that he shouldn't have, because a new agenda has been set by Paul on this program,
which is
the NDC race.
Well, but you don't think
and how this statement has opened, you know,
because you see, because you see, even Alassane, even within the NDC,
yes,
and I'm sure perhaps you know better. At least if you're someone whose ears are on the ground, we know the people who have either privately or, you know, quietly spoken to people about, you know, what they are considering and so on. Now, some of them were actually not even sure whether or not this 3rd term agenda was real or was actually a myth. Some of them, I don't want to mention names. Don't you think that now that the president has said, forget about the rumors, I am not interested, it brings certainty in the minds of persons who want to succeed him? Okay. Question is that, doesn't this then sort of gives the green light for people to actually even now go all out and start basically campaigning, albeit quietly? Because you see, if you listen to Asedun Ketia in some recent interviews, in fact, he's done 3 interviews. I don't want to mention the name of the media platform. 3 interviews on separate platforms. And the theme of that interview is about hold your horses, allow the man to finish. Because if the NDC government succeeds, whoever the party delegates elect to lead John Dramani, to lead NDC, would then be able to win the 2028 elections. It tells you that there's something happening. So don't do, so then, I don't know whether you get where Paul is coming from.
I get it.
Yeah.
But you see, Moro, that is another reason why I think the president didn't.
And sorry, before you come in, there's another school of thought in the NDC. There are some people who feel that, look, in order to give the NDC a stronger footing in the party in the 2028 elections, they think that the president should seek a 3rd term. And that they believe and they feel and think that all the other persons who have said they want to succeed him are not ready. And they'll be ready in 2032. Do you get the point I'm making? There are some people who have that opinion that, look, whatever John Mahama needs to do to seek a 3rd term, he should. You know, now whether that call is a legitimate one, makes sense or not, I mean, that's another matter. But there are some people who think like that. So I just want that to sort of find expression or sort of to give some perspectives to what you
see, Moro, in politics, I've come to learn that the agenda of your opponents is an ending. They will always set one agenda. When you demolish the one before it, they will always set one agenda. So you are never going to please your opponents who are set on ensuring that you look bad. And if you engage in, responding to every agenda that they set, that is when you engage in what maybe the English will call a wild goose chase. Because you will never be able to stop them from talking. And like they say, in opposition, the only thing available to a political party in opposition is talk. Is to imagine things and just throw them out there to create conversation. But you have to be focused on your deliverables when you are in government. And so opinions are like noses. Even within the NDC, they don't change the law. You understand? If people held those views and held those opinions, there's no way those opinions and views were going to lead to the change of the law. And again, those views and opinions, I do not believe, had the power to change the character of the man we are talking about here. And that is President Mahama. I mean, his character should be well known to anybody who has followed our politics all this while. And I was set in my mind that no amount of pressure was going to make the man, want to tamper with the Constitution, because that is the only way one can run for a third term, if you tamper with the Constitution. But as the Constitution is currently crafted, there's no way you can justify a third term in it unless you tamper with it. And knowing the character of President Mahama, no amount of pressure was going to sway him to attempt to tamper with the Constitution. And so for me, it was a non-starter. It was needless for anybody to entertain fears that President Mahama may want to run for a third term. But yes, I understand that some people, fantasize with that. Some people romanticize with that. They thought that perhaps because of maybe their own personal influence and control, they would have still loved President Mahama to be around. But those were just views and opinions that anyone within the NDC or outside the NDC could have held. As for ambition, Moro, it's the fuel for any political life. Ambition is the fuel for any political life. And so people in the political space are allowed to have ambitions. And even if this constitution has stated that a president can run for 5 terms, people would have still been ambitious to succeed him after the 5th term. It wouldn't have stopped people from having ambition. And so for me, it is neither here nor there. We have a 4-year mandate, and I agree with the chairman of our party that the only way that 4-year mandate can be renewed will be based on the performance of this current 4-year mandate that we have. And so anybody who wants to succeed President Mahama will have to first of all put his shoulders to the wheel and ensure that this government is a success. Otherwise, whatever fantasy you have of being a president will not materialize, at least not in the next election, if you do not help for this government to succeed. And that is a point that has to be, ingrained in the minds of everybody in this government, especially with any fantasy of becoming a president. Otherwise, they should all forget it and go to sleep.
All right, Paul.
I think that I get Alassane Suhuyini's point, Honorable, about President Mahama and tinkering the Constitution to run a 3rd term, but that's not really where the danger is. The danger is not in the conclusion. The danger is in a process that begins that can really waste everybody's time. And the process can begin legitimately with a president who has a Constitution Review Committee that is looking at the Constitution, who is very popular and who thinks that let us at least test this with the Ghanaian public. If President Mahama were to say so, he hasn't done anything wrong, at least not yet. He has not said, I want a 3rd term. He's invited the Ghanaian public. Let's go to a referendum. Let's test this provision. When a referendum is set out, you're going to have arguments for and against, like we saw in the potential referendum for the district assembly thing that Akufo-Addo brought, that we should vote them, we should elect them on partisan lines. That was, as soon as he said, let us test it, there was arguments for, arguments against. Many people who were making these arguments were aware of where the president's view of the matter was, except that with Akufo-Addo is very direct, so he has told the Ghanaians that this is what I want. But often, presidents doesn't need to say this is what I want. He only needs to kickstart the process and allow lectures to happen, debates going on, MPs will be divided, something that is a third term, something that there shouldn't be a third term. Everybody will be talking about it, and then you have a process starts in Parliament through constitutional amendment. Let's go to a referendum. Not just that, may not be the only article in there to be amended, the referendum. Referendum goes, you have 5 articles, and it's one of them. And then you are going to have all of these debates. Now, what President Mahama has done for us, which is good, is that I am not interested in even beginning the conversation. That's where I think Honorable must see that it's not so much that he being thought of as an autocratic leader who wants to change the constitution, but he doing good for Ghana by telling not just Ghana, but the international community that I'm not going to begin a process of any conversation about any third term. I'm not interested in starting that. If you are starting that, you are not with me. And he has a Constitutional Review Committee sitting, and the Constitutional Review Committee is going to make proposals to him. So what he's telling us, in fact, is that any such proposals that even come from the review committee is going to reject it. That's really what President Mahama is saying, because the proposals will come to him. He would have to determine how the process goes forward. So that is the part that is good. And that's the part that the MPP were thinking, some of them were thinking will be an own goal, that if he starts that process, then because this is a process that is going nowhere. Many Ghanaian youth and voters today may not have been born in the late 1970s, but Achampon's, union government process created such a major problem and took the country back a few steps. So the older generation have reminded us of that. So there was going to be some level of resistance to any president who wants to do that. And that's why, even with Akufo-Addo, who had served 2 consecutive terms, he still found occasion, and I think he also spoke abroad, to allay the fears of everyone that I'm not running for any third term. So it is important that President Mahama says there will be political fallouts because it is politics. So once the president speaks, there will be pros and cons. So yes, it is true that there's a de facto whistle blown, and we hope that people can control themselves, but we don't know whether they will. Often politicians don't. And I like the statements he makes, which is very true, but it never really lives his truth in politics, which is that let us all focus and deliver a winning government, and that way everybody can come. Because running for president is a full-time job. And President Kufuor, who is a seasoned politician, even came to terms with it, such that he introduced a policy regulation that if you want to run, leave the ministry. Yeah. Because if you're a minister and you go to the office in the morning, you're a minister for Agric, and you have to meet some people who are looking for irrigation in Tamale, for instance, because of him, let me use Tamale. They're looking for irrigation in Tamale. They want to come and do irrigation in Tamale. And then you are told that all the Western region constituency chairmen are waiting for you. You are very likely, as part of your ambition to lead the party, you are very likely to abandon the meeting for irrigation and dash to Western region to go and see the people and talk to them, because self-preservation is first. You want to lead the party. So we hear this all the time, but it never leaves its truth until you say that, please, because of your ambition, leave the ministry. And President Kufuor's timeline was 1 year to the election. It's beginning to look like the campaign starts long before that 1 year to the election. In 2006, Victor Newman, may he rest in peace, one of Akufo-Addo's key allies, was so frustrated, it was about February of 2006, was so frustrated with Akufo-Addo's foreign ministry work that he wrote a public letter to him and said, Chief, you have been at this thing since 98 challenging Kufuor. You are losing the battle. You are sitting down, traveling, going, foreign minister. He wrote an open public letter to him that this thing that you are doing, you are going to lose. Alan Chemati is going to beat you, because he was ambassador to America. Because of his ambition, they brought him to Ghana to be minister for trade. Every day you are traveling. Go and see that he's meeting people. He's meeting constituency executives. Akufo-Addo responded and said that it doesn't matter. If we succeed in President Kufuor's government, we will win. But soon after that, a group was formed called FONA. Yeah. To which I associated, especially in our student days in London, myself, Musa Superior, Abe Fakabu, who were the kingpins of FONA back in the day. Friends of Nana Akufo-Addo. It was immediately formed, because you need to start putting platforms together that will start coalescing people. I can imagine that by the time we have this conversation 2-3 months down the line, you will be able to point the camp that Honorable Hassan Suhuyini has found himself in. He is either in Julius Debreh's camp, Well, his boss, Kwame Abuja, his immediate boss, is not running. So if his Kwame Abuja was running, that's the only place he has to go. Because you are deputy minister to the roast minister, he's running for president, and he hears that you are with Julius Debra or this. If Haruna Idrisu is running, he would demand of Al-Hassan Suhuyini that you can't have Haruna Idrisu, your senior brother, running. And then he hears that the Suhuyini was at the Asidi Ketia meeting last night. He said, Al-Hassan, calling for me. He said, hey, I hear that you were in the
MPP politics.
Then he will say, then he will just say that, oh, I went to visit the party chairman. I said, no, Al-Hassan. They say you were in the meeting. Oh, no, I wasn't in any meeting. He said, are you sure? Then you touch Ali, Haruna called me. Haruna called me, so I can't go again. Then you pick another minister like you pick another minister like he mentioned Jinapo, energy minister. Yes. He is a John Mahama person thoroughly. John Mahama is not running. There would even be pressure in the Jubilee House that all of us journalists are going to try and gauge. So the president is not running. Who is he backing? If you have a president like Akufo-Addo, he's going to say, I'm backing this, A straight, go, we go. Not everybody is like that. Not every politician has that disposition. It took a long time for President Kufuor even to accept that he was backing Alan. If you look at the make of John Mahama, I'm guessing that he's cast in the Kufuor type of mold. He's not going to come out and say, I am supporting this, I'm supporting that. That will leave the media room to begin to gauge. He makes any statement, we are going to pick it up. He has visitors in the Jubilee House and says that, oh, I was in Japan the other day, I heard you came here, and my chief of staff was very good to you. My indefatigable chief of staff. Well, hey, Charlie, he's supporting Julius. Then he goes to a rally in Tamale and he's talking and says that this election was won by many people, but I cannot discount the role of our party chairman, Johnson. I said, hey, John Mahama is supporting. I said, so that's going to happen. All I'm hoping for is that we can count on the magnanimity of the leadership of the NDC. Okay. If they can hold their horses for the sake of Ghana until 2027 sometime. That's what we're praying for.
You know, Moro, you know, I have worked with Paul for a very long time. And I mean, one thing stands out, and I admire him for it. His ability to set agenda. Okay. It's amazing. It's unmatched in this country. And you know, so sometimes when on social media, people troll him for some of the things he does on Good Evening Ghana, I sit back and I laugh and I say, you don't know what the man is doing. He exactly knows what he is doing. He wants the country to talk about something. He has a way of getting, you know, the story implanted in such a way that you can't afford but to respond. And that is what Paul is good at. And you remember I said that President Mahama's response was just fodder for the setting of another agenda. And clearly, anyone who has followed has seen that agenda. And that agenda, if we are not careful and read in between the lines, is going to succeed in swaying the entire NDC, you know, from the focus that we currently have. And that is to support President Mahama to succeed. Paul is, you know, doing what he does best. You know, because I can imagine that the focus on the MPP race is not that pleasant as things stand now. So why not shift the focus and set an agenda and maybe create a similar scenario in the government that would be more juicier because you are in government. So if you have the kind of things that are happening in MPP happening, you know, the focus will shift there. And that's what my senior brother Paul is classically doing as usual. But I am confident that our party will not fall for that bait. What we know is that currently in the NPP, I mean, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, who I'm sure Paul supports because of his affiliation with Samira and Co., you know, is battling for breath. I mean, I'm sure he and his supporters are amazed at the level of competition that is currently being presented him. I'm sure they are shocked. I'm sure they are seeing people associate with Kennedy Agyapong, and they are seeing people with Kennedy Kobna Agyapong, and they are seeing people with Brian, and they are like, this one too. I'm sure. I'm very certain that they are completely dazed by the level of competition that Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia is getting. But you see, some of us are not surprised. I mean, some of us predicted it long ago that the trump card of Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia over the years that he has served in politics has been his ability to run down his senior brother, President Mahama. That has been his biggest trump card in the NPP. And unfortunately for him, in the next election, President Mahama won't be there. Okay. So the NPP has begun to see that, Charlie, your usefulness is diminished. Because your trump card has always been how you taunt President Mahama. He won't be in the next election. And so really, what is your trump card? Because for 8 years in power, you helped Nana Akufo-Addo to run down this country. That's why the people of Ghana voted the way they voted in the last election. Right. And so clearly, he's struggling. In fact, when he began the thank you tour, he tried to be direct, like Paul was saying, like Akufo-Addo, by categorizing the things that made them lose power. Oh, arrogance of power. Do reshuffle, you wouldn't do reshuffle. That's how he went out. And I'm sure Paul Mko called him into the room and said, hey, you can't antagonize the president like that. So change strategy, change strategy. I'm sure that happened. I'm sure that happened. You get it? I'm sure that happened. And so he had to quickly change strategy. Because it was, it was like digging his own grave. Because you couldn't be part of that 8 years, and all of a sudden, you are beginning to sound like you were not given a privilege by President Nana Akufo-Addo to serve in his government. Because remember, you didn't even have a party card. President Akufo-Addo had to, take all the criticism and the attacks from his party to shield you and make you vice president for 8 years. And at the least defeat, you turn around and say he was the reason why you lost? My goodness. But you see, Moro, if you followed our political conversations, especially on this set, even before 2024 elections, I said that one character trait of Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia that I found appalling was his inability to show gratitude to Nana Akufo-Addo. Because it was already beginning to show that he did not appreciate the opportunity that President Akufo-Addo gave him. And that, for me, is what Paul and Co. are dealing with today. And so it will be very relieving if they set fire, in the NDC with this new agenda of, okay, President Mahama is not running, so who is succeeding him and who is he supporting, who is he throwing his weight behind? That hasn't come up in the NDC so far. Ambitions are, like I said, like fuel for any political life. And anybody in the NDC is permitted to have that ambition. But that ambition to succeed President Mahama can only succeed, and I'm sure we are all aware of it, if we help him to deliver to the admiration of the people of Ghana. And I believe because we are all aware of it, we are committed to that cause.
Paul, I think we should, let's move.
Let me just I don't think Dr. Bawumia has indicated that he lost elections because of Akufo-Addo.
He didn't have to mention his name, but the scenario was clear.
Dr. Bawumia indicated that the government of which he was a part of had major challenges and difficulties. Dr. Bawumia has always acknowledged that he was a part of the government. And I hear this bit of rumor about bad blood between Akufo-Addo and Dr. Bawumia. I don't see it. I don't think there's any bad blood between Dr. Bawumia and Nana Akufo-Addo today. I don't see it. I hear opponents of the MPP talk about it, that Akufo-Addo is not supporting Bawumia anymore. And all
it was actually Dr. Atta Kennedy who broke the news.
Well, Atta Kennedy lives abroad. Atta Kennedy is the one
I've heard that also from Brian Achampong supporters. I've heard
yes,
that from...
fair enough. You may have heard. I'm saying that I have not seen it. I have not seen it. And I've spoken to Akufo-Addo recently. I've spoken to Dr. Bawumia recently. I've not seen any bad blood between them. The relationship between Dr. Bawumia's wife and Nana Akufo-Addo is excellent. I mean, I've not seen any bad blood between them. Okay. We have seen people who used to support Dr. Bawumia who have come out publicly and say that they are changing candidate. But that's very typical and classic with the NPP. You have seen Mr. Opombio, a famous businessman, who had been the backbone of Kennedy Japan, as was thought. Today, he sits with Dr. Osei Aduchu. That's always classic NPP. as we have said before, this will be the first time the NDC is going into a real electoral contest for presidential candidate. The NPP has had it once or twice. They had it in 2007, they had it in 98, and they are going into another one again. I don't think Dr. Bawumia has underestimated the challenge that confronts him in this election. Any candidate who comes out as a government candidate, as he was in 2023, the president's favorite candidate, and goes to the election and does not win the election, is going to have a more difficult time when the president is not there. That's why Dr. Bawumia has had to hit the grassroots campaign quite early. He knows that he's going to be confronted with a major challenge because some of the things that may have supported his candidature in 2023 may not be there. But the circumstances are different. And people are going to elect a candidate that they believe can deliver victory and success for the NPP. So first of all, I don't think Dr. Bawumia is saying that I lost the election because of Nana Akufo-Addo. Okay. No. Dr. Bawumia has outlisted the reasons why he lost the election. Some of them including the difficulties of the government he was part of, the economic situation at the time. Yes, Dr. Bawumia mentioned the arrogance of power on behalf of government appointees. Government appointees are almost 1,000, and yes, there was many reports that even DCs were bullying people in their communities, and that always happens with politics. Right. As for the agenda setting that the Honorable Suhuyini refers to relating to what we may be doing to get the NDC in the agenda, it's always inevitable that there's always going to be a conversation about an exiting president. The point we are worried about is that this has happened to Ghana back to back, and it might not be very good. But you cannot stop that conversation. It's always going to be there. It's always going to come. It's going to come in America. It's going to come in France, and it's going to come in Ghana. As soon as Nana Akufo-Addo took the oath, NDC people started. Is Nana Akufo-Addo going to respect the timetable so that he hands over to Alan Kyerematen because it was Kufuor, then him, then Alan? Or is Nana Akufo-Addo going to upset the timetable and support Bawumia? Rumors started very early. Nana Akufo-Addo is supporting Bawumia, this and that and that. So yes, once there's that kind of situation, there's always going to be media conversation. If you call it an agenda, fair enough, but well, it's inevitable.
All right, so Dr. Nyaho Tamaklo has sent us an article. And first of all, he precedes that article by saying that he's happy that we're having this conversation. His reason is that apparently he had personally written this, but I don't know who the recipients are. I've actually sent him a WhatsApp message to ask first of all when he wrote it and who this was targeted at. But it says that religious leaders must stay within their lane, leave constitutional matters alone. And that's a press release. Okay, so a press release for immediate release. And I'm just going to read the first 2-3 paragraphs, and then we can get on with a second topic. And it says, I've observed with deep concern recent intentions by certain religious leaders, especially within the charismatic space, suggesting that President John Dramani Mahama should seek a third term in office under the guise of prophetic revelation. Now, let me state clearly and unequivocally, this must not happen, and it will not happen. Such pronouncements are not only misleading and unconstitutional, but dangerously divisive. Ghana is a constitutional democracy. The 1992 Constitution clearly limits a president's tenure to 2 terms. This is an entrenched clause, and altering it requires a national referendum, not dreams, visions, or prophetic declarations. Let no one, pastor, prophet, or preacher attempt to drag our nation backward through careless proclamations that ignore the rule of law. Ghana is not governed by papal proclamations, but by the will of the people enshrined in our constitution. We cannot and must not allow the misguided voices to stoke political instability in the name of spirituality. It's a very interesting article. I think that we'll put it up on our website, that's metronewsonline.com, so that you can go and read it. It's a very, very interesting article. I'll entreat you to go and have a look. So this is the Article 66 that my guests have been talking about, and we've just put it up on your screens for you to have a look yourself. We got this, we took this directly from the Constitution. So here we go, Article 66, it says term of office of president, and it says 1, a person elected as president shall, subject to clause 3 of this article, hold office for a 4-year beginning from the date on which he is sworn in as president. So that's Article 661. Now let's look at what 662 says. A person shall not be elected to hold office as president of Ghana for more than 2 terms. And so For some people, this ends it. There's no ambiguity, nothing of a sort. Now, let me read this again, message from Kojo Chumbuafo, who is watching, our own senior brother and friend of the show. He says, good morning to all of you, Moro. Good morning, Suhini. Good morning. Paulinos, good morning. I take it that our brother Paul is now Dr. Mahmoud Bamia's Echo Bunny and the head gasket of his cleanup crew. Can Paul deny or confirm this is so that we can be so advised? Comes with a question mark. Now, Manche Bruce II, who is a lecturer at Takrady Technical University, says, Moro, Dr. Bamia presents a compelling candidacy bolstered by his exceptional marketability and strategic branding. His intellect or intellectual acumen, resilience, humility, and commitment to party unity underscores his leadership potential. Given his impressive profile, I'm confident in his ability to lead the MPP in Ghana, and I'm eager to rally support for his candidacy. I am for Bamia. That's hashtag. He says, I'm for Bamia. Manche Bruce II in Takrady. And Eliasu from Tamale says, good morning, Moro. The claims that DMB couldn't bring the Northern and Zongo votes, it's actually one of the things we're going to talk about. Zongo votes is far-fetched. The MPP, as the data shows, suffered vote losses in the whole country, except in Mampurugu North, East, DMB, home region. There were policies by the Eswar and Ado government that didn't sit well with majority of Ghanaians, and Bamia as a victim of circumstance, suffered the punishment for it. We can't gamble with a new candidate when we already have a more marketable candidate in DMB. Let's give him a massive endorsement to prove our confidence in him to secure us victory in 2028, inshallah. Now, let me finally, let me end with this, and then would continue with the show. It says that we'll continue with the discussion, sorry. Now, good morning, Moro. There is no constitutional restriction that presents or prevents a former president from serving as vice president. Now, the key requirement for the vice presidency is meeting the same eligibility criteria as the presidency, which includes being a Ghanaian citizen by birth, being at least 40 years old, and being qualified to be elected as member of parliament. Furthermore, a former president can also serve as a member of parliament. To be eligible, they must meet the qualification outlined in Article 94 of the Constitution, which includes being a Ghanaian citizen, being at least 21 years old, and being a resident in the constituency they wish to represent. The Constitution makes available articles that take care of the president when he exerts power to his demise. But after being number one for 8 years, will you come down to say yes, sir, or madam to someone else? I remember former President Liman saying he cannot work under anyone after he's overthrown because he has been the president before. We need to try this in the Supreme Court. Mark Kojo-Boafo, United States of America, a regular viewer of the show. So stay with us. This is Good Morning Ghana, and don't go anywhere.
Various flavors. Ubenya eyako, ubenya nemchie, yeduku jollof muma emu yede, ubenya yeduku nkwan, yeduku froye mu. Ho na kopebito, na ema weduane enyede. Unyeminia, yenkonko tie nyankofo eka.
The Otan when you communicate to ni all enjoy oduba. That Samu spices. One in the essence no time. Samu spices in a sabi daddy so say. Samu spices. Mun Samu.
Samu spices. Yama chicken.
Samu spices. In Sanaka in Ketwa, measure 10 grams. Yawa chicken, spaghetti, garlic and ginger, stew, and jollof, and the flavors alpha bebre.
Samu spices. Yes, Saka.
In my line of work, a confident smile is everything. Kel Chaco toothpaste keeps me on top of my game and ensures my smile is always radiant and bright.
With the tiring nature of my job, we spend several hours under the scorching sun. To keep our teeth white and our breath fresh all the time, we use none other
than Kel Charcoal toothpaste. Kel Charcoal toothpaste. You're on a Kessie and then a kit one.
Samayo Kendini, who be here, some make us a papadia to a mammy manful. Kel Charcoal's natural ingredients, and a bomb is so buying, a man is swing, and a sansu mama hotel so a will beg you.
Kel Charcoal toothpaste. Choose Kel Charcoal toothpaste for anti-cavity, whiter teeth, and fresher breath all day. Available in 80 gram and 150 gram. Grab yours today.
Kel, happy smile. This advert is FDA approved.
Yes, next. Hey, Nadia Benson,
Me didn't tum. Monsieur Femi Calico, just call me cockroach. Now, Monsieur Femi once now. Hey, that's you. Improve car. Yeah. Captain was key to double the action. Me did this sasso spray. Monsieur Femi sasso quell. Yeah, go to my sasso.
Come on, Tom Preco.
You're live on Good Morning Ghana on Metro Television. My guests are still here. Alasan Suhuyini, MP for Tamale North. Sorry, I was going to say South. Tamale North, and the Deputy Minister for Roads and Highways, and also Poladum Ochre, our own Poladum Ochre here, Good Evening Ghana host, and also seasoned journalist and the former board chair of Ghana Company Limited, Ghana Airport Company Limited. So, Paul, you introduced the topic which you probably just took the wind out of my sail, which is fine. I think that it all has to do with internal NDC and NPP politics. But if you look at all the newspapers today, they've all been awashed with these stories about yesterday's event. 3 people filed yesterday, and I think the day before we had about 2. So now we know Kenneth Japon has filed. We know Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia has filed. We know Dr. Brian Champo has filed. We know that Dr. Yao Educhum has also filed. And one other person, Kwabena Japon has also filed. They've all been talking. They've all been delivering their messages as to what they should be voted for. So we look at the Informer today. Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia says that, he says, so there's a quote from Napo. He thinks that Bawumia stands tall. And that's Dr. Matthew Poku Prempeh. And then also Daily Graphic today says that retain me, MPP flag bearer Bawumia. And the Ghanaian Times, well, doesn't have it, but the Daily Guide says we will restore sacked workers Bawumia. And then Educhum says I am can-do president. That's a can-do candidate. That's Dr. Yao Ose Educhum. And then you have Dr. Brandon Champo in today's Insight. He says you are the owners of our party. Brandon Champo tells Mama the crowd of MPP grassroots supporters. The Herald says that Bawumia demands results, not insult, noise, bragging, and wealth flaunting as he jabs Kenneth Japon, Brandon Champo, and others. That's also here. And you look at the Inquisitor, why I choose DMB over Kenneth. Napo has been talking. And then also Daily Statesman says our race is for the soul of MPP. Bawumia tells colleague flag bearer aspirants, delegates, and so on. Now, is this race really to rescue the soul of the NPP, as Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia is saying?
Well, I think that there are some big positives and smaller positives from the whole process.
Okay.
The big positive is that without this contest in January, the NPP could not have been able to marshal itself together with such significant enthusiasm of delegates and supporters of the party boldly pouring out into the streets in the middle of Accra and chanting NPP slogans in the manner that they are doing so confidently. Because the defeat of 2024 was heavy and is still, pushing down the neck of many NPP people who are still recovering. So it is kudos to the National Council and the National Executive that made the decision that to sort of revive the NPP's excitement at the base, it is important to run a National Delegates Congress to choose a presidential candidate so early, unprecedented in the history of the party since 1992. So that's a big positive. You saw what happened since Tuesday, and today the NPP is leading the news all over. I'm worried that the Ghanaian Times is not leading the same story on its front page. Perhaps they have another story, but really, this looks like the story the NPP is taking center stage this way. If the NPP uses this platform to market itself,
to be fair to the Ghanaian Times, I'm the most prepared candidate for NPP flag bearer.
You read something and said they didn't use it, but
I skipped it.
You skipped it. Okay. I would have been surprised.
Yes, I'm the most prepared candidate.
Okay, so the Ghanaian Times has it as well. That means all the newspapers have it.
Yes.
Now the NPP has the platform, and it might be useful. It behooves them to use this platform to market and re-energize the Ghanaian public about the excitement of the NPP. Because what the NPP needs, as we've always said, to be able to put themselves together and look formidable for the 2028 election is one essential commodity, which is unity. And you may have heard most of the candidates preach unity. And unity is important because if you are going for a Congress like this, which is not a Congress that has one person who is going to win 80%, then what you need more than anything else is unity.
Okay.
And it's a very difficult contest. The NPP may be fortunate that they may have a bit of time because this is earlier. That's part of the reason. That's one of those arguments that underpin the reason that let's do an early Congress, because you're going to have problems with a Congress like this. The government has lost election. There's blame game. There's a lot going on. You're in opposition. You need to spend more time raising money and all of that. So have the Congress early so we have time to negotiate out all of these things, cut deals, make political alliances, and be ready for the opponent. The advantage the NPP is also going to have is that they're going to have a presidential candidate by February. NPP have a presidential candidate already on the ballot in 2028, all things being equal. The NDC doesn't have somebody on the ballot. The NPP has somebody on the ballot. So if you are an interest group, you're a market woman, you are a trader, you're a nurse, you're a teacher, and you have certain policy objectives that you do not find being expressed in this government, you have somebody to go to and go and talk to him and say that, Chief, do you think that you can do this when you become president? If that conversation holds, you are going to form an alliance with that person before the NDC have their candidate. And that is what part of the things that hurts the NDC coming into the 2024 election. Because by 2022, in fact, even immediately the 2020 election ended, every interest group holder knew that John Mahama would be the candidate for the next election, given the performance of 2020. So the NDC could really not have even gone to any Congress. Now, such people who were now saying that John Mahama is definitely on the ballot in 2024, who is going to be on the ballot for the MPP? Is it going to be Alan Martin? Is it going to be Mahamadou Bawumia? There heard rumors that Kennedy Japan was also going to run. So for the interest group holder, that is an uncertain situation. The variables are too many. Here is the opposition leader. He's settled. He's going to be on the ballot. So if I have a problem, I'm a policeman, I'm a teacher, I'm a this, I'm a that, and I can see difficulty, I go to him and I say, Mr. President, if you become president again, are you willing to do this and that and that and that? That is why we heard in corridors of power in many circles in 2023-24, people saying that John Mahama has changed. John Mahama has changed. The guy is a new guy. John Mahama has changed. Now, they were saying that because they had engaged with him because he's on the ballot and he has a lot of time to engage people. So that's an advantage that accrues to the NPP, that whoever wins the election has that time to engage with people and for people to have trust and confidence in him whilst they wait for the NDC to elect. If the NDC were to go to Congress in December 2027 and elect a candidate, they have 1 year before the election. By that time, if the NPP candidate has been working hard, he would have secured all of these alliances with all of these different interest groups. So that's another positive. Then, if you come to the contest itself, as you heard most of them speak, and I am happy about something that happened yesterday. As soon as Dr. Bawumia's presentation began, there was a lot of disquiet in the Kennedy Japan camp. So people were asking, what is happening? They were very angry, the communication group. And they said the party is using the official Facebook page to stream Dr. Bawumia's processes on social media. They were very upset. And then I saw on a platform, Nana B, the NPP national organizer, Nana Boachi, apologized to them and said that it is not with them and they are taking it off immediately. I noticed that and I said, oh, this looks very interesting. So it gives me the sense that everyone important in the NPP wants this contest to go, as Kennedy Japan said, fairly. And it has to be very fair. And nobody should be seen to be playing any role to give an advantage to anyone. And I noticed that yesterday about this social media issue. So yes, it's going to be tight. There's going to be a lot of issues, but they would have to manage it in a way that helps, because the advantages after far outweigh any real disadvantages that come with competition. I don't know whether the election is going to be a landslide for any candidate. It doesn't really look like that. People even are predicting that the election may go into a runoff, and so alliances are beginning to form. But I like one thing that also shows up at the close of the nomination, that the NPP had gone to Congress to remove an article which said that there has to be only 5 presidential candidates, and anytime there are more than 5 presidential candidates, there will be a superdelegates that will sit and reduce the candidates just to 5. This article was put in as a result of the 2007 contest that had 17 people, and Honorable Suhini and his friends went to many meals on the 17 and trumpeted it and bashed it, and was part of the reason why the NPP lost the 2008 election, the propaganda from the 17. Well, I didn't agree, but there were 17 candidates. So the NPP noticed that and said, let's change it. The NPP went to Congress recently and said, let's go back to status quo. Let's remove the super delegates and deal with it. What this contest has showed, that the NPP has really grown in maturity, and that they did not need a regulation to leave the candidature at the best 5. That excites me very much. That's when everyone thought that removing this article will now bring 100 people into the contest. And we heard at the beginning, Boache Jacko is running, Joe Garte, I spoke to him, he told me he's running, all of that. Conversations have gone on, alliances have been struck. And so at the close of poll, you still have the 5 that the NPP historically needed to negotiate for and make rules and regulations to achieve. Now, maturity has come in, and they do not need rules and regulations to legislate a certain 5. I am hoping that the same maturity will carry on through the process in September, in October, in November, and then finally in December to elect a presidential candidate. Whoever is elected will be able to achieve the unity the NPP needs to be formidable. The unity doesn't even mean NPP is going to win 2028. They have to be formidable, and to be right now the NPP is not formidable against the NDC because you are coming from a 41%. But for the NPP to be formidable and pick up its 49, 48%, they need to keep that maturity through the process, have fairness, which is very, very important. The fairness must come. Everyone must see the process is fair. And then thereafter, they can achieve unity and be formidable for the election.
And also, can you please look at the messaging bit for me? I mean, I already have 41% in my bag. I only need 9%, you know. The accusations, counter accusations about, you know, where one comes from and which religious faith he ascribes to and so on. I mean, can you look at the messaging bit of the campaign for me, even as you're making a general comment about how things are panning out so far?
Yeah, I will come there, but I was just intrigued by how Paul was checking on the headlines, and I was wondering if he's, as Kojo Chumbuafo asks, in charge of some...
No, I'm not in charge of it. No, I'm not. I'm not
the cleanup of...
I'm in charge of Good Evening Ghana.
That's what I do. Because you didn't answer Kojo, and so when you were particular about which paper carried the advert stories...
No, the Times, when you read the text, the Times didn't carry it. And I was worried that this is a major story. The graphic carries on its front page. Why is the Times omitting it?
Okay.
Because a state-owned newspaper.
I just wanted you
and it has an obligation to be fair.
You are not playing any role
for any of the candidates. If I were playing, it would have been announced. I'm not playing.
Not all roles are announced. You and I.
Oh no, I don't have a role.
Especially in this campaigns, when you offer media advice. I mean, you are not really announced.
No, I'm not. No, I'm not offering media advice.
You are not.
I was just concerned that. No, I was just concerned that a state-owned newspaper.
Yeah, but your relationship with Samira. I mean, if you do that, and by I mean, if you do that, who is going to? I mean, I mean, if you offer media support, and then Akufo-Addo is one of your mentors, and he's a direct person.
So media support, I can offer to Kwabena Agyapong, I can offer to anyone.
And I think I saw somebody like you at Kwabena Agyapong.
Well, Kwabena Agyapong is my good friend. Everyone knows that. So I'm very happy about the ambition that he takes upon himself.
Yes, but you are not offering any support.
Unless you mean informal.
It's part of it. I mean, you see,
I want to informal.
You know, I admire you, and I have admired Paul for a very long time.
Unless you mean informal.
In our journalistic career, I mean, he was one of the people that, you know, we admired working with and looked up to. So I want to sometimes understand, for example, when you are on Good Evening Ghana, how to interpret what happens, you know, based on the answers that I get from here. You know, I want to know. That's what I'm asking.
Oh,
I mean,
no.
Because I know that a lot of things will happen on Good Evening Ghana. So I want to be able to
will
interpret.
Happen or has happened?
Will happen.
Relating to the MPP contest.
To the MPP contest, of course.
Oh, okay. If you look at yesterday's Good Evening Ghana, for instance,
Yes,
so we showed the video of all the candidates who attended.
When you started with Corinthians and all that.
That's an earlier one.
Yeah, you were playing
I played it back. Yes. So we did we gave platform to all the candidates. My concern about the Times, I think I have to ground this for the purpose of the record. The Supreme Court in MPP and GBC gave a ruling that state-owned newspaper have an obligation to give equal and fair treatment to all political parties.
Right.
The MPP had done this event yesterday, and it required publication.
Right.
The Graphic, which is a state-owned newspaper, is leading on it. All private newspapers are leading on it. If it turns out that the Times didn't publish it at all, I think there's a legitimate question.
You know, I'm genuinely concerned. I'm genuinely concerned.
Yes,
I'm not
please.
being mischievous.
Yes,
I mean, given your relationships with all these people, I mean, if they don't know where you stand with them, don't you think that it's
this is an extraneous disconcerting. But it's not every MPP person. It's not every MPP person. Anyone who wishes the MPP well.
This is MPP politics.
Yes,
Paul is part of it. You understand? He's part of the whole conversation. So it is.
You're asking me whether I'm for one candidate and against another?
Not against, but you can be for and not necessarily be against.
But once you are for one candidate in a contest, you're against another.
No, I don't think so. I don't think so. You see, if you are for one candidate, it does not necessarily mean you are against the other. I mean, if that person wins, you are not going to split heads over it. But maybe given the circumstances, you just think that associating with this particular candidate at this point in time is better.
But you know,
it doesn't mean that you are against.
There are also MPP people who are just interested in the contest being fair and a leader elected.
So you are part of that.
I'm more inclined towards that.
Okay. So you will support the process of fairness and
I will support the process of the MPP winning from this process. MPP must win from this election and become a formidable alternative before the 2028 election.
And then after that, you can. Anyway,
get on with the more substantive issue with messaging and the candidates. Yes.
You know, Muru, I have been following the contest, and I have 3 people in the contest that I have worked with in Parliament.
Sorry,
not worked with.
We've been graciously granted 30 more minutes.
Okay. I won't say work with. I've lived with in Parliament. Brian Achampong, Kennedy Ajapong, and then Edichum. I'll say I have a very good relationship with Brian Achampong, a fairly good one with Kennedy Ajapong. Edichum, I won't say we have any relationship whatsoever. But I have been watching, their campaigns, and I'm amazed at how they are all doing. Brian seems to be more frontal and more purposeful. It looks like that to me. Kennedy Ajapong is doing very well, but still too basic and grassroots, and I don't see Edichum at all in that race. But I think the candidate to beat, obviously, is Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, because of the fact that he was the flag bearer in the last election and he is still interested. So obviously, he's the candidate to beat. But it can still be anybody's, game to win. That's how I see it. Especially if you look at the constitution of the NPP. That requires a 50+1, I think, to be declared winner and flag bearer of the party. It gives me the indication that it can still be anybody's game. Yes, it may look like Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia is leading, given the history of his control and association, obviously, with Nana Akufo-Addo in the past. It looks like he's leading. But that lead is not so convincing. And so it doesn't give me the impression that he can cross the 50+1. And that is where the danger may be for him. Because if he fails to cross the 50+1 and he's not able to play his cards well to get support from the other candidates, it is likely that he will face competition from the other 4 in a runoff situation. Because you have to understand that all these 4 candidates are out because they don't think it should be Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. Otherwise, they wouldn't have filed. But they think it shouldn't be Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. And so, if we are faced with a runoff situation, I'll be surprised if any of them will support Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. And it is the reason why I think that these 4 should begin to talk to themselves and talk to each other. But again, don't be surprised that either Kennedy Agyapong or Brian Acheampong can even pull a surprise and take, lead. Because the biggest constituencies of the NPP in this whole election come from areas that Brian Acheampong and Kennedy Agyapong seem to have some amount of control over. If you look at the central region, that is where Kennedy Agyapong comes from. It is one of the biggest constituencies of the Electoral College. And Kennedy Agyapong is doing very well there. If you look at Eastern region, it's one of the biggest constituencies of the college. And Brian Acheampong is doing very well there. Are you getting it? Right. And if you look at the Ashanti region, it is split between Brian Acheampong, Kennedy Agyapong. I don't really see a Dichum match there, but Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia doesn't have absolute control over Ashanti. And where you expect Dr. Mahmoud...
Let me get this. Are you sourcing this information from the Info Analytics data?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And also based on just observation. And we travel. We are all somehow politically connected, not only to our party people. So you speak to people. And when you visit these regions or you make calls to people, you gauge the atmosphere. And I'm saying that, if you look at Central, Eastern, and Ashanti, they are battlegrounds. No one can boast that, he controls it. I won't say no one, but Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, who is the candidate to beat, cannot boast that he has control over Central, Eastern, and Ashanti. He can't. And that, for me, should be worrying to him and his team. Because these are, big constituencies, influential constituencies, I must say. And yet, the one who should have been the natural, winner of the election cannot boast of having control. In the Eastern region, like I've indicated, Brian seems to be in control. In the Central region, it is tilting towards Kennedy Agyapong a bit. And then in the Ashanti region, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia doesn't have control. Where you expect Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia to have control to, he doesn't. And that is enough. And that should be worrying to his team and his strategies. He doesn't have control in the Upper East. He doesn't have control in the Upper West. In fact, especially the Upper East and the Upper West. He doesn't have control. The only place that he seems to have control over is the Northeast. And Northeast is so minute. The delegates that are coming from Northeast, I'm sure can be swallowed 4 or 5 times by delegates that will come from Ashanti and Central. And that's the only place he has control over. In fact, in the Northern region, the constituencies with higher numbers of delegates, the Tamale Centrals, the South, the North, the Sanargus, he doesn't have control. And so he should be worried. But like I said, from all indications, it looks like he's leading. But that lead doesn't seem like it can cross the 50+1. And, with the performance of Brian and Kennedy Agyapong, I think that he will have a tough, contest. That's what makes it interesting. I'm also excited about one thing, Moro. I like posterity and what it does to all of us. I like it. Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, over the years, has engaged in one of the dangerous ways of politicking. But attempts in the past to call him out in the past were resisted by the very strong shield that the NPP provided, perhaps because he was in government, and perhaps because at the time it served the interest of the NPP. I mean, he's the candidate who went on platforms, first of all, to say that there was a need for the Bible and the Quran to be acknowledged as swearing in. He said that. And people glossed over it. But that for me was dangerous for our politicking. We tried to call him out, and then we're told that, look, you are just being envious, you are just being disrespectful, you are just being insulting of Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. But that was dangerous, still dangerous, that he did that. He is the candidate who has gone out and in campaigns have publicly said that vote for me and I'll bring a block of voters because of my affiliation as a Muslim or as a Zongo person or as a Northern person. And then people hailed it. Some of us thought, was dangerous politicking.
But identity politics has always been with us.
It's always been there, but you see, it has to be carefully exploited. Okay. And politicians over the years have done that without stoking any, dangers. But he's been frontal, that's what I'm saying, with it. As for identity politics, you can't, even in the United States of America, I mean, people campaign based on the states that they were born in, where they come from. It's whether they are Christians, it happens. What's the term? Libertarian. Whether they are, it's all part of identity politics. Right. Whether they support deism or not, it's all part of identity politics. But I'm saying that it is how you go about it that exposes the danger.
But Hassan,
and I'm saying that over the years, and the point I'm trying to make when I said I like what posterity does to us, is how all of this dangerous politicking he has done over the years is coming back to bite him.
But Alassane, what do you expect Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia to do when one of the reasons why we're told he's been given the chance, or he should be given a chance to lead the MPP, is that the MPP intends to break a certain, what you call an Arcanization perception, which they've always had. With Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, put all the other things he has going for him in terms of his qualities, he's also a Muslim, and he comes from the northern region. You don't expect Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia to go around and not talk about the fact that, look, when you vote for me, I'm one of you, and I'll bring...
There's a reason why our constitution acknowledges, and I use the word acknowledges religion, but concludes that we are a unitary state, and that, we are a secular state. There's a reason that the constitution, it acknowledges religion about, freedom of worship, freedom of thought, and the fact that the constitution's preamble even starts in the name of God, and the presidents and other officers are sworn in with the Bible and Quran. It acknowledges religion. But in the end, it says that we are a secular state.
Right.
There's a reason. And so, when Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia has, like you said, all other things going for him, his religion can be acknowledged, but not be used as a trump card. That should be a consideration.
Right.
It can be acknowledged. There's a difference acknowledging one's association and one's identity, and then using it as a political capital. And that is what I say has been wrong with the way he has been packaged over the years.
Right.
If the NPP wanted to break the Arcanization tag, they could have still done that with the qualities, or so-called qualities, that they say Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia has that can transform this country. It is really a matter of course that when he emerges, then it breaks that kind of thinking and it becomes a reference point to combat any allegation of such theory within the NPP. But he played that rough card. And so I was enjoying it last weekend when that rough card was played back to him by Brian Achampong especially. I was enjoying the back and forth. Because look, you went on the campaign trail in the last NPP primaries. and promised the NPP delegates, like Brian aptly put it, that if he was elected, that he was going to bring the Zongo votes and the Muslim votes. He said that. He said the only person who could beat John Mahama in the north was he, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, because apart from being a Northerner, he's also a Muslim. And that majority of Muslims majority of people in the north were Muslims. And so he was the candidate to beat Mahama. And so they should elect him. He went on that campaign. So apart from breaking the Arcanization tag, that was to say that, oh, we have given a Northern and a Muslim the opportunity to lead. He further went ahead to say he was going to bring on board votes. Brian and Co are simply saying, Alhaji, you failed to bring the votes. Where are the votes? They are simply saying, Alhaji, where are the votes? And so if that was your trump card then, and it has failed, what is your message now? That's a simple question that you should be answering instead of, showing emotional tantrums. That should be the simple. I mean, if that failed, you can tell us why it failed. But now tell us a better trump card that you have, because now we won't believe that voting for you will bring the Zongo and Northern votes. So instead of throwing tantrums, you should be intellectually engaging and giving reasons why your promise failed. Otherwise, you may be categorized again as being dishonest. You may be categorized again as having lied to the people. You already have that tag, remember? So you may be categorized again that you knew that you were not going to be able to bring the vote, but you lied just so that the party could give you that opportunity. And if anyone does that kind of analysis, the person will be forgiven. Because it is intellectual, it is fair to say that if you are unable to give us a reason why you didn't bring the votes, then you deliberately lied to us so that you could lead. Anybody doing that kind of conclusion will be forgiven to so do. And another message that I've heard, which does not help the Bawumia, image, is 9 pe. 9 pe. I mean,
what is 9 pe?
I hear them say, oh, 9%.
He has almost 42%.
He has almost 42%. He had almost 42% in the last election. So they only have 9%. 9% to
Dr. Bawumia hasn't said that. Did he say that?
But I've heard his campaign. I've even seen T-shirts printed 9 pe. I mean, it doesn't help his image. That looks like another lie. That looks like another lie.
Isn't it a fact that he has 41 point something percent in his bag?
But it's a different election.
Exactly. Thank you.
Everything is different.
Every election, every candidate starts from zero. Every candidate in every election does not start from the last percentage that you had.
So you're saying the 41% is not given?
It's not given. So if you start on that note as a campaign slogan, you are again seeming dishonest. You are looking dishonest. Are you getting it? So I don't know how his campaign is being managed, and perhaps it's done poorly because over the years they have not allowed and tolerated critical examination of his politicking.
Okay.
And so it's allowed him to get away with a lot of things that are beginning to work against him now.
Okay. Let me bring in Paul now. Paul.
I'm very excited by the Honorable Alasan's assessment of the MPP contest, because you will realize that all the paragraphs that he has intelligently churned out represents a gruesome attack on Dr. Bawumia's politics. A very brutal attack on Dr. Bawumia's politics. Nothing to do with Aka 9 pe.
To take this party to power.
Okay, I've seen it. Yeah. So this gruesome attack on Dr. Bawumia is understandable. Since the year 2013, Dr. Bawumia has been a major thorn in the flesh of the NDC from the election petition period throughout the campaigns that he waged with those his lectures and the Midonyami economy and all of that. Dr. Bawumia has been a very brutal thorn in the flesh of the NDC.
I said that his trump card has been the way he used to taunt President Mahama. That has been his
not
trump
just
card
President Mahama,
in the
but,
NPP.
But when the NDC was in government,
that's
when he was
been his
running
trump
it.
card.
So it's kind of understandable when you have this very gruesome attack launched brutally against an NPP candidate who is competing within the NPP and who is not competing on a national level. Honorable Alassane has called him so many names.
Oh, how?
But I think that the Bawumia people,
called him names.
And he's a liar. He will be looked up.
Say that.
You said if he does that again, then they will say he's a liar.
Absolutely, I'm not calling him names. I'm saying that he has that tag already. So if he is not careful,
but
it will be
NDC put on him.
I didn't call him names.
No, but then
you see, when you say that I called him names on this set, I haven't called him names.
Fair enough, you are predicting. But the tag of a liar is the NDC that put on Bawumia.
No, based on what?
Based on Dr. Bawumia saying that if I will lock the economy and give the keys to the IGP and the dollar will be stable. And then he says that if the fundamentals of the economy are not working, the exchange rate will expose you. Now, I was concerned.
How did I conclude? I said that in the past he has played a kind of politics that are not allowed for critical examination, which is coming to hand.
Hold on, let me land on that. Dr. Bawumia said that he said if the fundamentals of the economy are mismanaged, whatever, he said that. I was concerned about that during the campaign. So ask Dr. Bawumia himself, that this issue that is being played against you, that you said if the fundamentals of the economy are weak, the exchange rate will expose you. Now the NDC is playing it back. How do we deal with it? What is the point here? And I asked him in a public interview, and he said to me that based on what happened post-COVID and the Russian-Ukraine war, the fundamentals of the economy had been weakened naturally. So it is not an economy that can protect the foreign exchange. The point he's making is that if there are no natural weakenings based on all the data that support the economy, if there are no such natural weakenings, then the economy, it is your mismanagement that is making it weak. That the situation that the MPP found itself in 2024 cannot be attributed to a mismanagement of the economy. Every economy around the world was suffering the same thing. And I made the point that I think that this should come out. And it sounded very correct to me. So even in that situation, whereas the NDC may have known that the economic situation that Dr. Bawumia described is very different from the prevailing economic situation in 2023, 2024, NDC were very much aware of that. They nonetheless projected the data to Ghanaians and said that this is what is happening. For instance, the famous advert about the price of milk, which was very impressive. Right? I scored 100% for media propaganda. You compare the price of milk in 2016 and say that when John Mahama was president, this was the price of milk. And the price of milk in 2024, from 2008 up to 2024, and you say that this is the price of milk when Akufo-Addo is president, vote John Dramani Mahama. Mahama is the hope. This is what they did. And it's going to come back to bite at them. The same way he's talking about, it's going to come back. Because if there's the politics that we want to start, it's already started. Galamsey has to be a state of emergency. Speaker after speaker, Ablakwa, Idrisu Haruna, Kofi Bua, Galamsey, state of emergency. Sam George, Galamsey is on the neck of Akufo-Addo. This week, Johnson Asiedu Nketia says state of emergency is risky to the economy. Bahama is the hope. That's how propaganda works. So I'm not surprised about this very brutal, gruesome attack on Dr. Bawumia for all of these things, because the NDC got away with that. It aided the vote in the election. And I hope that Dr. Bawumia himself knows that vindication will be in the womb of time. And in this contest, Ghana is an open space. NDC is going to have a lot to say about the MPP contest and vice versa. And he knows that most of the voices that are going to come from the MPP are going to pay him back for all that he said in 2013, 14, 15, that resulted in the very massive victory of the MPP. They're going to pay him back for it. So that's understandable. What I'd like to say is that Dr. Educhum, though, is a formidable candidate that people have not observed. Dr. Educhum is a formidable candidate. He's formidable because of the openness of his ideas. He seems to be a very clear thinker. And he is an obviously achieved minister, even within the Akufo-Addo government that the NDC would like to paint black. Educhum, when he articulates education and what he wants to do with it, you can tell. In fact, when John Mahama was sworn in, I saw somebody saying that if there's only one minister that he should retain from the Akufo-Addo era, it should be Osaya or Educhum for education. And so that gives Educhum that formidability. The campaign has just started. I think even the campaign may be suspended, not officially, but so that Akwetia is out of the way, because they all have to come together and go and fight the Akwetia by-election. So the campaign will start pretty much end of September. So it is by November that we will see where these trends are going and who is leading where. But like I said, I just hope that they will take advantage of the maturity that they have used to select 5 without legislation to move on and make the party attractive.
And you haven't weighed in on the issue of the ethno-religious conversation. I mean, you promised us to deliver certain votes from a certain constituency you've not been able to do it. And so, you know, what's your message now, as Alhassan Suini raised? I don't know what your thoughts are on that as well.
I mean, that's a legitimate and fair question for the Bawumia campaign team to look at and to deal with. It's very legitimate because politics is national, but politics is also ethnic-centered all over the world. So people get worried if you are not able to deliver what people thought was your base. But then again, you have to look at the broad global results of the election and determine whether this effect could not have been occasioned by other factors, just other than people didn't like or couldn't deliver his base. So it's a matter, I think, that the jury is still out there. There still has to be a bit more research to understand that the 2 million people who didn't vote, the reasons that supported their withdrawal from the polls, could that have been the same reasons why somebody in a community that was thought to be Dr. Bawumia's home base, could that be a reason why they voted one way or the other? The religious questions. Did Dr. Bawumia get some Christian votes somewhere that is significant, whilst he may have lost some Muslim votes? You know, all of these questions have to be answered. And I think that it's a very fair question. Nobody should sort of exclude that question from the conversation. Some answers must be found. And I'm sure that on the campaign trail, Dr. Bawumia will be asked these questions about, because you are coming again, so you are going to be evaluated based on your performance the first time. So that's really going to be on the table for him wherever he goes. The other candidates have not been on the ballot, the national ballot before, so they don't have to answer these questions. But Dr. Bawumia would have to answer these questions. I'm sure that he will be very prepared for that.
And that is why I find it ridiculous that Dr. Bawumia's response to this question was suggesting that people were playing ethnic and religious politics.
Yes,
he said that. And I was like, no, that's not the response. Because if it is religious and ethnic, then you started it. And so when I say this, it's not calling him names. It's just expressing my bewilderment. I mean, I get confused because you started it. And so if somebody asks you the question, you don't reply by saying, stop playing religious and ethnic politics. MPP is bigger than that. I get confused.
I think both of them are right. Both of them are right and wrong.
I said my confusion is not an attack. It's not a brutal attack.
Both of them are right and wrong. You know, there are two ways of looking at it. If I say that, vote for me because I am a Muslim, the connotation is different from don't vote for him because he's a Muslim. They're two very different things in political communication. Right, you know, so maybe when Dr. Bawumia talks about something is ethnocentric, he's probably referring to the other one that says, don't vote for him because he's a Catholic. If I go and I say, vote for me because I'm a Catholic and I can win the Catholic votes, that's different from saying, don't vote for Alhassan, he's not a Catholic. That's different. I'm sure that even the United Nations will look at the two statements as very different.
But there's context to the Brenda Champon one. He talks about the Boko crisis.
Yes.
And says, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia aligned with one of the tribes in that conflict. And that per his estimation, one of the reasons why Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia did not do well is because he comes from a certain tribal group. Of course, his opponents have debunked that. So just to give the context, they'll say it's not about vote for him because no, but it's about his performance in the last elections as against what he's going to do now going forward.
Brian may be right if there's data to support what he's saying. He may be right.
Okay.
But every election is different.
It's different. All right.
And the context come differently. And fighting on a government platform and fighting on an opposition platform also offers many differences. Okay. So we have to wait to see. And I don't know whether there's something that should be said in public, right, even if there's data to support it. I don't know. But Brian may be desperate to see the MPP win the next election, okay, and he's looking at his data and thinking that, look, these are the problems that we had, and so we need to deal with this problem. So you cannot really fault him for bringing it out. But you can also tell him that the election circumstances are different. Every election is different. So let's see what portends for the next election.
Brian raises the issue about the fact that there are two kinds of problems. There's a governance problem and there's a candidate's problem. The governance problem over time can vanish, but the candidate's problem remains. And so that's why he thinks that bringing back Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia will create problems for the MPP. Would you like to express an opinion on that?
Oh, well, I don't know whether I can express an opinion on that. Okay. It's also true and it also can be false.
Okay.
Because you can look at statistics and say that a certain group of people will not vote for a certain group of people. But at the end of the day, what determines the election really is the performance of a government. It's the government that's on trial in an election. It's not the opposition that's on trial. So yes, Brian may be right, but the circumstance of election can always.
All right, so let me read a few messages and then we can wrap up beautifully. Now this one, Kodo Chumbaf is back. He says, Moro, I'm sorry to come back again, but the knock against Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia is best narrated by his opponent internally and not by the NDC. What has Kennedy Japan said about his stewardship of the economy? What did Brandy Champon say just 48 hours ago about him? Now, Alhaji Kudu says, my prediction for DMB is that Northern region 98%, Upper East region 65%, Upper West region 80%, Volta region 75%, OT 65%, Ashanti region 70%, Greater Accra 60%, Western region 65%, Eastern region 65%, Western North 55%, Central region 55%, Savannah region 80%, Northern region 90%. The three Bono regions together will give him 65%. Edmond says that, he says, Mahama is the hope song is still in the heart of Paul. I can boldly say that he loves the song so much. Sani Salihu, who's also another regular viewer of the show, he says that, Mr. Paul, even yesterday, Russia struck parts of Ukraine and 19 people perished. Should NDC use it to derelict their core duties? When the fundamentals of the exchange rate would expose you wasn't originated by Dr. Bawumia, he only plagiarized it. He actually attributed to George Soros. He's a well-known investor and financier and re-echoed by a Nigerian politician. And he also says the early internal contest for NPP's flag bearership position is already for Dr. Bawumia to lose. However, as a seasoned politician, he hasn't changed one bit. His enumeration of wishy-washy policies he claimed to have proffered are partially half-truths. His minders should remind him to modify his political talks to suit the current dispensation. The sophistry is still there and not good for optics. I wish them all the best. Juma Mubarak to all Muslims. Good morning. Sadi Salihu from Offenso. And this one from Prince Henry in Koforidia says, good morning, Moro. Until the NPP rebrands itself by changing its name from NPP to something else, they should forget our political power in this country. The mess of Nana Bawumia has finished the NPP. What goes around will surely come around. All the things we said about Bawumia in the NPP denied. The people who are fighting to lead the NPP are now confirming that, hey, NPP, yeah, Cobra Pa. Is Paul now a member of the micro-opposition party communications team? I urge the people of Akwetia to vote for Lawyer Bediakon. With Lawyer Bediakon, so he ends this. He ends it there. This one is so Musa Abattoir. Yes, Musa Abattoir says the Moro Adomatri's analysis is not sound because he's simply comparing apples and oranges, which amounts to a layman's argument. The NPP is pursuing a property-owning democracy, while the NDC stands for socialism that brings everyone on board. However, the heinous sins they themselves are accusing each other of clearly disqualify them from occupying the high office of the presidency. Leadership must be built on integrity, not impunity. Al-Hajj Fatah says that if he knows that every election is different, why is Paul saying 2 million people did not vote? Okay. I believe that we can end the show here and say a big thanks to you, Al-Hassan Suhini, and who is MP for Tamale North and also Deputy Minister in charge of Ghana's roads and highways, and also Paul Adomachi, a seasoned journalist, host of Good Evening Ghana program, and also so Angela, a nurse and a medical student, lives in a town near the sea, seduced by Alvaro, a young ambitious man who visits for business to build a hospital. Now the two get married, but in an intriguing turn of events, Alvaro abandons Angela and then returns to Mexico City and to Samantha, who he is engaged to. Now Alvaro marries Samantha, but Angela follows up to Mexico City to the reality that his husband is gone. Can you imagine? Now, she meets and falls in love with Leonardo, a doctor who becomes her protector, but Angela will now endlessly battle the adversities of destiny in pursuit of true love. So, please join us for the launch of You Are the One at 5 p.m. Watch it on Metro TV and then thank me later. It's a very, very interesting.
Remember that the
yes.
attending has been shifted from the Legon Sports Stadium to the Independence Square.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, later tonight.
Okay.
Yeah, because of the Homo War ban on the Labadi land.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. That's fine. All right, so thank you for your time once again. And thanks for watching Good Morning Ghana. My name is Aldo Moro. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh and Juma Mubarak. Bye-bye.
Some desde que
voy a ser la mujer.
And they
Por favor. Junto a mí.
Sí. Samantha ahí.
Twerk your body, twerk.